Hi everyone, welcome back to Farrand on Film. This is the second of the summer ones that we're doing. Ollie and I did our top 10 live action Disney movies last week, which there were quite a few crossovers, which we were quite happy with towards the end. Um,
Feel the
I,
rhythm.
I feel like this one's going to be an absolute shambles. Just going to put
Yes,
that out there right now. I don't know whether I should painstakingly make my way to try and think of doing an amalgamated list or just leave it. I think I might leave it.
I think leave it. Yeah.
Um, so we're doing our top 10 fight scenes, and this was one that we did plan to do last year. I think some of us scrapped a list and have started a list again. I found my list, but as we've been talking, I've literally changed the bottom four and swapped them around and put honorable mentions in there and all that kind of stuff. So let's do honorable mentions because Michael, you've already said that you've got quite a few. I've got quite a few. So I'm just going to reel off mine, and I'll give you some reasons as to why they didn't end up making the thing. Um, the Tom Hardy film Warrior, I put the final fight in, which is against his brother, but it's like an MMA fight type thing. So I was like,
Mm.
yeah. Um, I've just written the Bourne Ultimatum. No particular scene. I just wrote the Bourne Ultimatum. Um, we were talking about having a rule of one per franchise, which if you've not stuck to it, that's fine. But it made me rethink my list. So I've dropped down the elevator scene from Winter Soldier.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, and Black Panther versus Killmonger in the ritual fight scene from the first Black Panther. So there is an MCU in my list
Shock.
elsewhere. Shock horror.
I might
Um,
write down now what MCU fight it is because
okay.
I'm fairly confident as to what your MCU entry is going to be.
Fine. And then two that were in my list, and I've now just dropped them down. Okay, so the first one I mentioned off podcast that it felt a bit more like a gimmick rather than an actual thing. So I did have the zero gravity Inception sort of fight scene, but again, it's more like a sort of set piece rather than, and it's probably not the best
It's
fight
still
scene.
a fight.
Yeah, but I mean, I
It's
thought,
two blokes punching each other, and one of them, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt like strangles him with his legs. Like
yeah, but I was like, is it
The
more of just a
fight's not the
gimmicky?
centerpiece of what's happening, though, is it?
Yeah, yeah,
well, it's in a
The
unique
sequence.
setting, I grant you, but just because if two people were fighting in like a vomit comet training for NASA,
mm,
that's just an interesting setting for the fight. It's still a fight. I mean, if you got to find a reason, you got to find a reason. But
yeah. And then the corridor fight scene from Old Boy. Because I can imagine it might still come up, but I watched it back, and of all the ones on my list, I was like, "There's a bit of waiting around here, isn't there?" As in, like, I'll fight someone, and then everyone else on the either side of the screen is just like, "It's not my time yet. It's not my time yet. It's not now. I'll go." So it was a bit like, nah, I like it to be a bit more scrappy.
but it's aura. He has
Yeah.
aura and
Okay.
very big hair.
Such big
True.
hair.
True. There is. I'm going to say this again, right? Because Holly's heard this and Michael's heard this. Holly, I can't remember if I told you last week, but there is one on my list that I am convinced no one else is going to have. Right? It's my number five. Okay, but I love the fact that I've picked it. And if
Mm.
you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it in a while, I urge you all to go back and do it. But we'll get to that point. Right, Holly, have you got
Hmm.
any honorable mentions?
I do. I also put the old boy hallway scene in my honorable mentions. I really love it. I love the idea that, it's not just a bunch of guys running at you. If you're in a hallway, the guys on your side are obstacles and they're
Yeah.
getting in your way, and everyone gets tired in it, and everyone's like, ugh, ugh, right, I'll go, ugh. I really like that aspect. It's not as much fun as
Mhm.
a lot of the other fight scenes, I think. I had Raiders of the Lost Ark, the shooting the guy,
Mhm.
um, because you think you're going to get a fight scene and then you don't, and I like that it subverts expectations. Everything in the original Matrix like feels like it's a fight scene, but when you watch it back, it's more a set piece. But I really love the way they do the action in the film, but I haven't actually got a fight from the Matrix in there. Um, Everything from the Raid, the original one, is fabulous, but I didn't pick one. I got something else
Okay.
on the list.
Mhm.
And then the one that I pushed out of my top 10, and I really wanted to keep it in, but I can't, is Team America World Police. the third fight
Yes.
between our hero and one of the terrorists in Paris, because the puppets get ready and they're like, ah, and then they're just like, woo, woo, blah, blah. And I just remember laughing and laughing and laughing. And that's another one of those things where sometimes a good fight scene can just be something that subverts expectations. But yeah,
Nice.
it got nudged out, probably for the best.
Probably for the best. Well, I don't know. Michael, what's on your honorable mention list?
So my MCU ones that almost made it but didn't because I decided I only wanted one. Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man in Civil War. That was really close. And the rest of the Eternals versus Icarus, specifically the Makari kind of speedster fighting, is just such a good representation of I think what it would be like to fight someone who moves that fast. And then technically not MCU, but it is technically is the first nightclub fight scene in Blade. Number one, when he first shows up, is like such a good intro. And then a like nice short one is the takeaway fight in The Gentleman, where like the kids are kind of coming and they're being a bit cocky, and he just kind of. I mean, it's not really a fight. It's kind of like him hitting a few people and then realizing they're outclassed.
Right.
And then I also had the Warrior, but I had the fight closer to the beginning in the gym.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Because I just think it's a nice like it's like almost like the anime thing, isn't it? It's like they don't expect him to do anything, then he comes in and he does really
Absolutely
well at
wipes the
anime
floor.
trope. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what I don't know if people will have or agree with because it's not a great film. The Baby Doll versus the massive samurai in Sucker Punch, which is kind of like an action set piece, and it's absolutely ridiculous as the entire film is. But it is really fun to watch. This like little girl fight these massive. Well, she's a woman, but she's quite young in it, I guess. She's like 18. Fighting these massive like samurai. I don't know what they are, but it's just ridiculous. And then the Book of Eli, the pub fight and the bridge fight.
Oh, I forgot about the Book of Eli.
Yeah, like it's just nearly every sequence in that is fantastic. And then my other one that I really considered is the bar fight in Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise and the
Yeah.
guys. He goes outside to fight. But again, it's not necessarily a good fight necessarily.
Yeah. There's just so many in there that like you could just look at so many films and go, oh, that's quite good. That's quite good. That's well choreographed, and all that kind of stuff. Right, Oliver, honorable mentions.
Oh, I've got quite a few. So, starting off with, it's presented very much as a comedy fight, but it is arguably, I would put it to you guys, it's the most realistic fight that any of us have included on here, unless you've got a similar fight in your actual top tens. And it's Mark versus Daniel in Bridget Jones.
Oh,
Just,
it is.
just two guys who don't know anything about fighting trying to have a fight on the streets of London and being
Just guys being
people.
dudes.
Exactly. Like, it's really funny, but it is actually what a fight between two middle class guys in London would actually
Saying,
look
ow,
like.
ow, 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 ow.
Yeah, exactly. The kind of
Sorry.
yeah, they just end up grappling with each other and like falling over and trying to take a shoe off and stuff like that. And they get the odd good hit in, but beyond that, no. I've got a film that my algorithm reminded me of, Unleashed, with Jet Li, if any of us remember that. And the big fight in that, what feels like the final boss fight in that versus someone credited as The Stranger. It's just this bald, pale man in all white with a machete. And I remember for the time thinking that the camera is making great pains to actually capture this fight as opposed to like jump cutting all over the place. Like there's one sequence where they're just like throwing each other's heads into the wall inside a toilet cubicle and the camera's like panning them from the top. And it is just an incredible fight in a bit of a forgotten gem of a film. Like
you need a character like the Stranger because he was never going to fight Bob Hoskins.
Exactly. Well, he does kind of fight Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
Like he does just start beating on him and then Morgan Freeman tells him to shut up and
In the
British
weird thing of
fanboy,
like
British
film
fan.
titles changing, in America that was called Danny the Dog, which is an awful title.
Subtle.
This
Yeah.
also reminds me that Jet Li is in the greatest Romeo and Juliet adaptation, Romeo Must Die.
Oh,
Christ.
Fantastic.
you like the
I've,
English team, no? No, to
I've
put it on the
got
spec.
I've got Dumbledore versus Voldemort from Order of the Phoenix because I
Okay.
think that's like the because it's weird to think of that as a fight, but for all intents and purposes, it is.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have the same gun shootout feel that the rest of the one battles have in the Harry Potter film series. Like that actually feels like two magicians at the top of their game, like having a tete-a-tete. Like, and yeah, that's the only one where I think, oh god, that was good. Bond is just littered with great fights, and I've not included a single one in my top 10. Uh, Personal highlight is probably Bond and Necros hanging out the back of the plane in the living daylights. But if whatever your favorite Bond fight is, I'm not going to be mad. Princess Bride. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Played for laughs is still an objectively great sword fight. Deadpool versus Wolverine, just in that car, is my
Yeah.
comedy shout. Like most of their fights throughout that film are good, but that one in particular where they just hate each other in that moment and know they can't kill each other, but it's like, well, I'm gonna try. And then you just see the aftermath of them just lying bloodied in the car. Everything from Pirates of the Caribbean. Just
Everything.
every single fight scene in Pirates of the Caribbean is like, oh, this is grade A swashbuckling. This is outstanding. Like all of the individual fight, like you've got that opening fight with Will, you've got that big fight at the end of Black Pearl where it's an immortal Jack versus an immortal Barbosa. You've got that three-way fight on the island with the big pinwheel. You've got the big fight at the end against Davy Jones. Like it just all of them are great. And then the one that was originally my top 10, and then very recently I knocked it down. Neo versus Agent Smith. That was my top 10 for ages because I did want to include a Matrix fight in there because some of the fight choreography in the Matrix, that's what introduced us as stupid Westerners to what this choreography could like be like in film on the regular. And
So are
that's
you
still
Subway?
yeah, the
Yeah,
subway
yeah,
fight.
yeah.
Like
Not like the Revolutions where it's Neo versus 40 million Smiths.
I actually don't mind that one in the playground from I
Oh,
think it's
the
Reloaded.
the playground in Reloaded. I was thinking of the one in the rain at the end of
Oh, that's still
Revolution.
just him versus what like the rest of them are just watching.
They are just
That
watching.
it's it's better than it should. It's a
Have you seen there's a
disappointing
frame
build
by
up.
frame comparison to a Dragon Ball Z fight though?
Yeah,
Like it
in
is
the
literally like Goku versus whoever Goku. I don't know who he's fighting. I've not watched it, but I've seen the comparison. It's very, very similar.
yeah. I mean, the problem with that film in general is that Keanu Reeves, as much as I love him, just doesn't have the acting chops to pull off what they're going for. He just looks kind of bored throughout the whole thing, which is a shame. But yeah, that subway fight, Neo versus Agent Smith. I remember playing it as well in the Path of Neo video game and just feeling great when the train came. It's like, chuck you in front of the train. There we go.
Such a good game.
Yeah,
Oh
love
my
that game.
God. Okay. So I'm going to kick us off with my number 10. My number 10 is from my oldest film on my list from 1979. And I think the reason why I've kept this in and I've put it at 10 is because it is the payoff to a bit of a slow burn where you know that a fight scene is going to happen at some point through the film. And there's little skirmishes along the way, but then you get to this sort of final one and you're like, okay. But admittedly, watching it back now, you're like, we've had better fight scenes since, but for the time, it was what it was. So it's the Warriors, and it's the final fight scene against the punks in the bathroom. Because basically, if you've not seen the Warriors, they essentially there's a sort of what would be the word? Like a sort of
A street gang.
no, I'm thinking of like when people sort of go. The ceasefire. There we go. Right. There's a bit of a sort of a ceasefire of we're going to pool everybody together and we're going to say, right, okay, let's all just have a little bit of peace. We'll all agree to certain things. And then Cyrus, who is this sort of um, massive figure who is speaking to everybody, gets shot and killed, and the Warriors get blamed for it. So the Warriors essentially have to traverse New York City, going through all these different areas, through all these different street gangs, and knowing that they're to blame for Cyrus's death, essentially. And it comes to a head in this battle with the punks towards the end. But it's one of those films where it's like now you look back on it and you think this is a really good slow burn sort of thriller-esque film. But at the time, like it was rated X in America because they thought, oh, it's too violent. But you've definitely seen much worse in films since. So I wanted to put that in there because I love The Warriors anyway. I think it's a great film, and it was sort of the reward for a slow burn at that point. Whereas everything else on my list, looking at it now, is a bit crazy. So get that
Another
nice.
great video game as well.
I never played the video game. I remember my
Oh, it's
mate having it.
great. Just a great beat 'em up.
Yeah, there's a great concept album as well by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, or whether you'd be bothered. Um, Holly, what's your number 10?
Uh, so my number 10 is the Bourne Identity, the Paris apartment fight.
Hmm.
I think the whole franchise has some fabulous fights. You mentioned the whole of the Bourne Ultimatum. There probably are better fights in that than this one, but this was the first film where I saw very realistic feeling action sequences. It was the first film that had that style of editing, which has now been destroyed and is done horribly in other films, but I thought was done really, really well in this. And just the visceral like pen in the hand and him just like getting up like he's a robot. The way the assassin that Jason is fighting moves, he's like a robot. It's Terminator-esque, and the way he just looks him dead in the eyes, he pulls the pen out. That fight scene just really sticks in my head as, oh, that is a good fight scene. That is, that gets your blood pumping. You're not sure what's going to happen. Your hero could sustain a big injury in this fight. You don't think he's going to die, but something bad could happen because the fighting is so intense. Really, really love that fight scene.
I think Bourne's quite underrated for what it did for fight choreography, especially in like
It
Hollywood
changed it. It
movies.
changed it completely.
Yeah, because like I think Mission Impossible latched onto it then at that point. Because Mission Impossible was in the weird thing of we've just had a John Woo one where he's on a bike and there's loads of doves flying around, and then when
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 3 comes
Everything's
along,
in
it's
slow
like
motion.
yeah, when Mission Impossible
I've
3 comes along, it's like oh look, the Bourne films have just been on. Watch us do some
Yeah.
fights
I've only seen 1 and 2.
of Mission
I've
Impossible.
only seen the crazy Mission Impossible ones.
Oh,
Well, the
okay.
first one doesn't even really have a fight scene in it,
No,
does
that's
it?
more of a sort of political thriller type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 2 is insane. I remember
2's
2 just being
crazy.
insane. Every 3 seconds, someone's taking a mask
Someone's
off.
pulled a face off.
That's all I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
And
Um,
Doug Gray Scott chose to do that instead of being Wolverine and
I
being the face of the
know. Oh,
franchise.
Lord alive.
well,
Poor
you know,
man.
we're glad of, but
Oh
he's
yeah,
not.
we got Hugh Jackman, but
Michael, you're number 10.
My number 10's been mentioned actually. It's John Wick versus Elrond. So subway fight scene in the Matrix. I think it deserves to be in at the moment, and I really did consider taking it out, but it is the fight scene where you start to think like because you kind of know Neo's going to be the one. I mean, his name's an anagram for one. But
subtle, isn't it?
That has literally just occurred to me.
it is subtle. It's very subtle.
Oh my God.
But I think this is the scene where you first start to really see it. And it's got that bit, where he catches his hand and then he goes,
Yeah, I love that.
and there's a YouTube cut where it's like every punch cuts back to that. So it's like just that over and over again.
There's a bit in that fight that my brother and my sister, we used to take the mick out of all the time, where it's the second time he grabs both of Agent Smith's arms like under his like armpits, and he headbutts him. But he headbutts him twice, and then the third time he just goes like that, and it's just funny. It doesn't come off as fierce at all to me. It just comes off as like Keanu Reeves has got like 0.5 seconds to like fill this time. What do you want to do in this time? And he just goes, "Oh, I just want to go."
Grunting.
It just makes me laugh
Just
so
let him know
much.
how unhappy he is right now. He's really unhappy with him. I don't know. But no, I think it is. It's a really fun fight. It starts to get. I think this is like where it gets like really superhuman, like because we've already seen like some like really amazing fight, but this is where he starts to fight better than the agent almost, but he's still not quite there
Yeah.
yet.
Like you
And
get
Smith
that
can
hope.
tell.
You get that hope, and then it's just the agent just keeps on, like Smith just keeps on upping his game, and it's like, oh no, yeah.
But you
No.
do see like in Hugo Weaving's face, even though he's playing this like emotionless entity almost, he does look worried at certain times. And he's very much like, what's going on? How can this be?
You broke my glasses. I'm going to start trying.
Yeah, and he has to like almost like upgrade, and and that's probably part of his journey into becoming, what he becomes later in the other films. But yeah, I think it's probably the best fight in the Matrix. I think even better than the other two films, which have some very impressive set pieces and action sequences,
Yeah.
like the fight, on the highway and stuff like that with the truck that blows up with Morpheus, and like that's a very good fight. But again, it's more of a action sequence than it
Yeah.
is a fight, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas this is two dudes hitting each other.
Just hitting each other.
For the love of the game.
Yeah. Ollie, go on.
So that was my number 10 until genuinely like 3 or 4 days ago. And then the algorithm reminded me of a film that I watched with my grandparents an awful lot. The Four Musketeers. With Michael York, with Oliver Reed, Faye Dunaway, Christopher Lee, Charlton Heston. And that final fight, because they're quite silly films. They are played as comedies most of the time. And then you've got this horrific final fight between D'Artagnan and Rochefort after Constance has been pretty brutally murdered in this otherwise very carry-on style of film. And the sword fight that ensues between D'Artagnan and Rochefort towards the end of that film is gripping, because it's Christopher Lee who is on interview saying, I think I've been in more sword fights on film than anybody else. And he's talked about this film in particular, like being in the full formal dress, in high heels, in Spanish weather. So they were like constantly passing out. And Holly kind of mentioned it before that it is always nice to see, like, it is nice to see these superhuman fights that just end when they end because there's a victor. But the ones that kind of falter when our participants get tired, because this sword fight goes on for a good few minutes, and the pair of them are giving absolutely everything in this fight, and they get tired. And Rochefort, played by Christopher Lee, has to sit down, and you see him knackered. You see him desperately trying to catch his breath. You see D'Artagnan see that, trying to take advantage of it, and he trips. And that they're all just using every single trick that they've got in the book to try and get to eke out an advantage over the other. And that final coup de grace of the ending of it, where Christopher Lee has used his little dagger to break D'Artagnan's sword, but D'Artagnan's going to carry on. He parries Christopher Lee's attack, does something with his hand, and just stabs through him. Christopher Lee gives us his first example, Lord of the Rings trivia coming, of the noise that someone makes when they get stabbed. And you hear it very clearly there, and he gets pinned to a book. And, well, apparently I realized there's a film of like 20 years later where he survived that wound, but he wouldn't have done. He was run through entirely by this sword in the chest.
But it is Christopher Lee, and he probably could have survived it.
Yeah, Christopher Lee just shifted his heart at the last moment. Yeah,
he was the inspiration for James Bond, apparently.
Yes, he was. He's had that because
he's an impressive man.
Personal friends with Ian Fleming, and then he's wasted in his Bond. Like, he's the best thing in quite a mediocre Bond film, unfortunately. But And it's the ending of it as well, where D'Artagnan, like, usually a film would frame it as like, oh, the triumphant hero has overcome the dastardly villain. But he's still knackered because he's just had the fight of his life. He's still remarkably upset because the love of his life, Constance, is still dead on a bathroom floor somewhere. And the Musketeers are still in trouble. It's a very emotionally mature fight scene for such a silly film that leans on slapstick as much as it does and kind of silly humor as much as it does.
Fair enough. I don't think I've ever seen that
It's a lot of fun.
because they've tried, haven't they, numerous times to like reboot it and give it a bit of a
Yeah.
jig up, and it's we had the conversation when we were talking about pirates last time about the swashbuckler and
Yeah.
like
And they
you know
try, like, I think Logan Lerman was D'Artagnan, Mads Mikkelsen was Rochefort, and it should have been like Mads Mikkelsen as your main villain, it should be incredible. But
yeah, but
I think Christoph Waltz
unfortunately,
was the Cardinal as well. Like, again, you're getting great actors in here. It should work.
yeah,
Like Disney did the same. Disney got a bunch of great actors and threw the money at it, and it just was really dreadful.
mm, maybe the time's passed on the swashbuckler. Right, number nine's Holly. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, I've chosen Hero and Jet Li versus Donnie Yen, which I think was the first time they'd ever fought on screen, and I don't know if they did again
Okay,
after that. I think it's the very first time. Um, and it's the fight where they have the fight in their minds, basically. They're just standing outside in a courtyard in the rain, and the other guards are kind of watching them. And Jet Li um, is our hero. And Donnie Yen is guarding it. He has a spear, and they just decide because they can recognize that they're both masters. They just decide to have the fight in their head, and then you go into their minds and you see the fight that they're playing out between the two of them. And it's just it's as the rest of the film is beautifully choreographed, but I think a lot of Hero is more focused on like the aesthetics, the color, the like rising orchestral music and lots of trapeze and just like flowing gowns and people jumping with these flowing gowns in like a all blue set or an all red set or whatever. It is beautiful, but it's more beautiful than it is like exciting.
yeah,
And I think it needs to be both to be a good like martial arts fight scene. And I think this is the fight scene in the movie that is exciting, even though the music is kind of telling you while you're watching it that it is a foregone conclusion who's going to win. It's sad music when you're watching this fight, and it should be like exciting and intense, but it's like this sad music, and you're like, okay, we know what's going to happen. The interesting thing is, how is it going to happen? And the fact that it's two like titans of martial arts movies having this fight together, like it feels like heat. It feels like the conversation between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. It's that like meeting of two equals that makes it really, really interesting to watch, but not intense to watch, but just like really like absorbing, and it looks beautiful. And the ending of the fight comes when they've played out this fight in their minds, and you just see Donnie Yen's character's spear bounce off the floor, and suddenly it clicks back into the real world, and the rain falling down, and it's Jet Li like running full pelt towards him, because in their head they've worked out that he's going to win, and he gets him straight away. Um, but yeah, I think I haven't seen a fight scene played out in that way where they're like equals, but the audience is signaled that it's a foregone conclusion, but it's still beautiful to watch.
mm.
And they don't overuse trapeze, which I really hate when it's just them dancing around. And you can see it's trapeze because they like move a little bit weird when you can see the string has gone taut or something like in a bad version
A bit
of the
Thunderbirds.
fight. Yeah, yeah. There's just a teeny tiny bit of it, but it's mostly sword versus spear,
Mm,
and it is exciting.
nice. Because I've not seen that, but I think it reminded me of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where it's like that seemed to open up again, like Western audiences to, oh, this is a style of filmmaking. This is a way to do these things. Yeah, Michael, you're number 9.
Yeah, that actually just reminded me of 2 fight scenes that I didn't even consider. A Jet Li one and another one that I'm not going to say just in case one's got them in the list. So number 9 is my Star Wars entry. And somehow I've just realized I've misspelled Anakin, which is correct. So it's Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku. And I do think this is like probably one of the best fights in Star Wars because it shows how much Dooku outclasses them and understands them in the fact that he keeps Anakin on the defense and Obi-Wan on the offense, which is the opposite of what they both like to do. Anakin's a very aggressive fighter, Obi-Wan's very patient, and he forces them to fight the way they don't want to fight. And he's almost effortlessly holding them off. And obviously, we've seen by this point that they're both at the absolute pinnacle of what a Jedi can do. So this, Dooku holding them off so effortlessly is amazing. I know we get Yoda coming in afterwards and doing all his flips and stuff, and that's yeah, and defeating him. But I think this kind of shows that, had he been a little bit younger and in his prime, it would have been a complete foregone conclusion so much earlier than it was. Or maybe not, maybe he's even better because he's older, I don't know, but I do get the feeling that physically, his age is going against him a little bit and he's having to work quite hard against them. But his just overall skill and like mastery of the lightsaber is completely beyond them, even regardless of, how powerful Anakin, he does his dual wielding his lightsabers, and it just...
And that lasts all of 10 seconds because Dooku's like, absolutely not, just chops one of them.
Exactly. It's such a fun kind of thing. See, and again, it is that thing where like they have that courage to let the heroes completely lose. Like they are just utterly defeated, and they need a Deus Ex Machina in order to survive, which is Yoda turning up with an army from which we knew about, but
it's just the first time in ages that we've had a Star Wars villain being a little bit gleeful.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
that one moment where Christopher Lee looks Ewan McGregor dead in the eye and just goes, "Surely you could do better." Like,
yeah, he's just so superior, isn't he?
Yeah,
it reminds me
I do
in
think
the
it's
anthology
a shame that they didn't plan to have him in like work him into episode 1 in some capacity, so you almost tricked into thinking he's going to become the Emperor and that Darth Maul's his apprentice.
Definitely got that aura about him, hasn't it? Of like, yeah,
because I know that there's the rule of 2, but so many stories within Star Wars have made it clear that they're not afraid to have like secret apprentices, and Darth Maul was maybe like an assassin, maybe working his way up to actually being an apprentice, whatever. But like,
oh, no, we've opened the Star Wars door.
Oh, it's staying open, Adam. Don't you worry.
Well, I noticed that you gave Michael a bit of a look when he said, "Here's my one Star Wars entry."
Yeah, at number 9.
I remember last year where you banned us from putting Star Wars on the list, and I remember very clearly when you brought it back up again that we were doing this list that none of us mentioned it because we were like, we're not going to say Star Wars so that Adam forgets that he banned it and put it back on.
That's not what I did, Hall. Like, do you think I would care if Adam banned it?
Well, at the time you also said you were going to put it on the list, but I care because I love rules. So I was just waiting for the rule hammer not to be brought down, and it wasn't.
I can't because I've got Star Wars on my list. And
rules mean nothing anymore.
No, rules mean nothing. And to be fair, I did say this to Ollie last week. I said I've got a Star Wars, and he went, "Just one." So
this is why you've got to have one per franchise. Though.
You do, yeah.
It's quite low down, but
mine could have been like half of it Star Wars, and I'm glad it isn't.
Also, is this the first time that Attack of the Clones has been mentioned in a positive light?
Do you know that Attack of the Clones does have a lot of really great... I mean, overall, it's not an amazing film, but there's loads of really great moments in that film. I think that's the kind of the problem with the prequels. There are lots of great moments.
It does have the second best sound effect in Star Wars history. Like,
okay, that's
you've
niche.
got to hand it to it.
What is do it for us, the second best sound effect?
You're in an asteroid field.
That's not a sound effect.
No,
No,
that's
but I'm
not.
not going to
You
do the
gotta do
sound
it.
effect. That's
Oh,
cringe.
right, hang on. So you draw the
telling
line
you.
at sound effects. You'll do every other voice, but you'll draw the line at a sound
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
having a fully audio.
Yeah, you're in an asteroid field. You're chasing a bounty hunter who is from New Zealand for some reason.
Oh, the bomb.
The seismic charge sound.
Yeah, it is actually good. Actually,
That is the second bet behind the lightsaber. That is the best sound effect in Star Wars history. Like
Wilhelm scream.
I like the doors.
The doors.
Yeah, the doors are great.
Yeah.
The sheet of paper in the envelope. Yeah, love it.
Well, that won't be the last we hear then. Definitely. Oliver, you're number 9. I'm assuming this isn't your Star Wars.
It's not my Star Wars. I might need to open this to discussion,
Oh, God.
people, because I've got 2 entries and I cannot separate them, and I think it might make for a fun discussion point.
You do this a lot. You come to us with the top 12 and go, I've not decided.
No, but like this is more because they're both equal, like it for different reasons. They've both got their drawbacks again. Like, and I value your opinions as fellow podcasters and, balded, bearded men. So, including you, Hall.
My spirit animal is a bald bearded man.
There you go. That counts. That's fine.
So, the category, people, is Spider-Man.
Okay.
So I imagine you can guess at least one of the ones that's in there.
Yeah.
So option 1, we've got the Doc Ock train fight.
Feels more like a set piece.
It does feel a bit more like a set piece. That's the thing that's going against it. But it is, to this day, it still is a fight scene.
Yeah.
And it's still, to this day, is one of the best moments in Spider-Man. Option 2 is No Way Home, Spider-Man versus Green Goblin.
I'd go with that one. That feels more like a fight.
That's a fight, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even Doc Ock, I think the bank fight's better than the train fight. It's like throwing the money and the camera follows them from the fixed position.
Yeah.
Love that. But yeah, I think
both of those are my 2 options, and I'm happy with it because
the Green Goblin fight where he's like laughing at him when he's hitting him is incredible.
My main thing against the Green Goblin fight was it's kind of broken into 2. Like, because I don't know which of those 2 fights to include, so I would kind of want to include both of them, like in the condo and then by the Statue of Liberty.
It's definitely the one in the apartment for me.
I'd say
it's like William Dafoe is like just unhinged in that fight.
The Statue of Liberty feels like a smaller section of a bigger.
Yeah.
It does, but it does feel like that fight finally finishing because it feel like it didn't quite finish before because Goblin decided to pumpkin bomb and give Peter a character arc as he's one to do. And I just love that, we've had years of Marvel trying to give you the slightly empathetic or villains that you can empathize with almost to a fault in some cases. It's like, no, we have this certain point of view. And then it's in this moment where they just decide to make a bit of a bastard as the villain. Just this, not irredeemable as they can, but, Green Goblin is irredeemable. Yeah. Norman Osborn is redeemable. But just how awful he is as a villain. And I would argue he is the best villain in the MCU in that one moment.
He is very good there. He's very that Joker, agent of chaos.
Yes, just like
he's in it for the love of the game.
Spider-Man suffer, and I love a villain. Don't get me wrong, I do like a villain with a good point. I think the best one again is a Spider-Man film. I think it's Vulture. Best villain that Marvel have done that has a good point of he was screwed over by big business, so he's now resorting to crime. And you know what? Yeah, I understand you there, Michael Keaton, you beautiful man. But just Willem Dafoe perfectly playing this guy who wants to see our hero suffer, which going back and watching the first Spider-Man is all he wants to do in that. He doesn't have this big grand plan. He doesn't have lofty goals. He just wants to screw with Spider-Man.
It's like his Reverse Flash era, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything he can be as petty as possible.
Yeah, and I've said it to Ads before, so he might roll his eyes and get bored of it. But I do remember the one moment, for me, Marvel is quite popcorn theater. I enjoy it. I'll go and see it, and even the worst Marvel films are still passable films. But that moment where Peter kind of lunges up and punches Green Goblin in the head repeatedly, and Goblin just looks at him and laughs, is one of the only times I have got like actual primal feelings watching a Marvel film. I like that was terrifying. And that was the moment where I thought I just confirmed it. It was like, yeah, this is the best MCU villain ever. That is one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. Willem Dafoe's Goblin laugh coming back out, and that moment where Peter pauses and he's like, what the hell? And he's completely outmatched. But then I do love the fight at the Statue of Liberty later where Peter just fully lets loose.
Yeah.
And like he lands that kick and Goblin just gets out of the way and you hear that noise and you just see Goblin gets his knife, his blades out and goes, because he's like, oh, you're going for it now. This is fun. Knowing that he's like losing the fight as well, he's still like, like, but yeah, I do agree. Like the train sequence hits me on a more emotional level, but I do hear the argument that it's more of a set piece. So we'll go with No Way Home Goblin.
Yeah.
Ollie, did you know that you were talking about Vulture? Lin-Manuel Miranda was offered that role and he turned it down because he thought he'd be miscast.
I mean, that's honourable of him.
That is
Very
a
honourable.
good
he
call
did that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he would be.
He would have been, no.
I actually don't understand
No.
why he was offered the role, I'll be honest.
No.
Yeah.
He didn't either.
Some
Yeah.
casting director on the first day.
Holly, well done. I'm at a loss for words at that information. That's
Oh my God,
Found
that's
it
so
out
weird.
yesterday.
that's oh my god, I'm so
Suddenly
glad he said
starts
it.
rapping at Peter Parker partway through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Something
this is
about-
why he's gone to crime.
Do you
Yeah.
think they were just trying to make Vulture a bit more like there was a version of the script where he was like a lot more sympathetic?
I think at one point it was a musical.
Well, I think they just liked Hamilton because he was
Spider-Man
saying
Hamilton.
the film started it started filming like a week after he was finishing his run on Hamilton, and he just thought Paul Feig, like,
Yes.
just loved Hamilton and was chatting to him and was just like, what can I offer this guy? I need to get him in the MCU before someone else gets him. He finishes Hamilton on this date. We start Spider-Man on this date. Right, get him in that.
Yes, because the thing that he was beloved for in Hamilton was his acting performance.
Shut up, man.
You've said
I know.
have said that
I know.
You're fine with his acting being criticized. You don't like that I don't like the music that much.
I'm also glad that I didn't spend a fortune trying to get tickets to see Leslie Odom Jr. when he didn't do the dates that he said that he was going to do. He went off after Act 1 on one day and then just didn't turn up on the other day. So I'm glad that wasn't me. I just want to come back to something, Hall, only because it's in my mind. Paul Feig is the guy who did Bridesmaids. Kevin Feige is the Marvel guy.
Sorry.
Yeah. In my head, I was like, yes, it is Paul. And then all of a sudden, I just had this sort of like quite campish guy.
Thematically, Bridesmaids could fit very nicely in the MCU.
It could.
I took 9.
Right, Ollie, before we move on, is this your only MCU pick or not?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Again, I think it's because there are objectively great fight scenes. A couple of them have been mentioned already. I did consider them, but this just did hit me on a more emotional level. And I guess the nostalgia did kick in with remembering 2002 Spider-Man a bit more, but I couldn't in good conscience put any fight scenes from that because it's very Power Rangers.
Okay.
Rangers.
No. I mean, I would. 100% I would.
Tiger Sword!
Yes, exactly. Right, my number 9, we're going back to The Matrix. This was originally in my honorable mentions, but I've gone for the Neo and Morpheus fight scene from the first one. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. Which, again, is a bit more of a training montage style thing, but I think...
It's a fight.
Still a fight.
But I think for a lot of us, especially for me, that was like the first time I'd seen that kind of fighting. And I was like, oh, this is new. This is interesting. They're not just like wailing at each other. You know, you can actually block a punch in a fight. Who knew? But yeah, I think both of them in that scene understand the assignment it's a case of like Lawrence Fishburne, you are there purely to be the teacher, and Neo, Keanu Reeves, you need to just look a little bit out of your depth, which admittedly he can do quite well. You
Yeah.
know, the whole Keanu
Whoa.
Reeves face. What am I doing? But I think they understand it really well, and I think it works well. It's well choreographed as well, and I think it just sets up what we come to expect later on in the films. But yeah, that is
I
my
love the moment
Matrix
in
pick.
the game as well, Path of Neo, because you can go off to, because it's in a dojo, you
Mm,
can go off to the side somewhere and get weapons.
yeah,
And and if you're really good at the game, like if you've played it before and you're almost doing like a new game plus almost, if you absolutely wreck Morpheus, he will just run away and get a weapon to like
I'm not
try
here
and
for
get an
this.
advantage over you. So you have to be like, oh, okay, I'll go get a bow staff. Okay.
I just remember being obsessed with trying to like wall run during
Yeah.
that time. And I was like, how do I do it? And
Any
I'm like,
game that lets you wall run is
just a lot of
peak.
me running into a wall and not pressing the
Yeah,
button at the
just
right
again and
time.
again.
Yeah, just constantly. Like, this should work. Right. Michael, your number 8, please.
Yeah, but no, so this one is kind of a bit of a set piece as well, but it's the final fight from V for Vendetta, which I just really enjoy the like he's completely outmanned. You know, he stood there, he's got his knives and his kung fu. And they've got all the guns and they're so sure of the victory. And he knows he can't survive, you know, he even says, you know, the one thing we've got in common is we're both about to die. But it's just like, you know, they shoot him loads of times, and then in kind of like his final breaths, he just demolishes them. And I like the he says, you know, before you've had a chance to reload, I'll have killed you all. And it shows the guy reloading in the background, and he's like moving so fast, and you see the like effects of, and again, it's very like anime in live action where like the knives moving and you can see the trail of it. And I think stuff like that's always quite fun to watch because it's quite fantastical. Like he's moving at a superhuman speed, and it gives credence to that idea that he isn't just a man; he's an idea kind of given form.
Hmm.
And yeah, it just the overall whole scene's just really fun to watch, though it's not necessarily as much of a fight as it is a like a set
Beat
piece on a
down.
rooftop. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's really giant. Ultimately, there is a point where they do fight. It just only lasts 2 seconds. He just snaps his neck. But at one point they do fight.
No, I've not seen V for Vendetta in ages. But
Same.
I love it though. Like I still use a clip from it when I'm teaching mise en scène, just for like V's attire and stuff like that. And he stands at one of this when he comes out of the alleyway, and he sort of just stood like this.
That came before everything to do with Anonymous, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they use the
Mind you, the mask
because of-
design is much older, isn't it? So they might have got it. They could have got it from the graphic novel rather than the film.
But yeah, it's definitely
I think it is
that-
V for Vendetta like is V's mask that they use
Yeah,
in
it
regards
is.
to where it's
Yeah.
from.
Mhm.
yeah.
I
And
just
none
don't
of
know
them
whether
have
they
any
would have got
idea.
it from the film or from the Alan Moore, whatever.
What
But
what do that? Oliver, number 8.
this has been mentioned in a lot of honorable mentions. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but it has just really resonated with me. It's the hallway scene from Old Boy. It is brutal. The music is kind of sad because, yes, he's having this moment of kind of triumph, but ultimately, what cost is it? I like how kind of scared of him everyone is, and that's why they don't all attack him at once. I love that he does get kind of bum rushed a couple of times and kicked to the floor, and like how he deals with that. Like he gets his hammers out and starts hitting people's feet. And I love the point where he literally gets stabbed in the back, and they're like, "Okay, this is the end of it." And it's like, no, you've just made him angrier somehow. I do need to go back and watch Old Boy again because there's a whole film. I do remember watching that and thinking, I haven't seen anything quite like this. And between that and Parasite and Squid Game, I had the revelation because you talked about me not quite gelling with Japanese storytelling. And I think there's some truth to that. Like even stuff that I love I can get a bit lost in, like Metal Gear Solid. I do get lost in a lot. And that Japanese or is that Kojima? That's difficult to tell. But all the Korean stuff that I've ever watched, I've just really vibed with. And it all started with Old Boy. I love the story. I love that fight scene in particular, with just how kind of brutal it is. How much he tanks hits. I do like a fight scene where one guy just tanks hits because he knows he's going to go through it and hit the other guy harder.
I think it's a big inspiration for like the Daredevil TV show.
Yeah.
Corridor scene as well, isn't it? Like you can really feel like they've watched Old Boy and they've took like some moments from that.
But I love the idea that it is just all, it's not a camera following them frenetically throughout the whole corridor. It's just a side panning camera.
It's like a video game.
Yeah.
Side scroller kind of view.
There probably is an argument that that's what it's trying to accomplish, like those kind of old school arcade style beat 'em ups. And I love the shot at the end where he realizes he's not quite done and there's a bunch of guys in the elevator, and then it just cuts to him in the elevator hugging all of these guys apparently, and then as soon as the door opens he lets go and they all just fall out in front of him.
Have you played Sifu?
No, I've heard good things about Sifu actually.
There's a lot of similarities with Sifu and Old Boy, but obviously like Sifu's come afterwards. But I mean, yeah, like Old Boy's, it's a great film. Horrific twist, but it's a great film. You know,
didn't need a remake. I remember seeing that and thinking, no,
I saw the remake.
Like it could be an objectively great film, but I've got zero interest in watching it because the original is there and I can read. So,
but again, like mad cast for that remake because, like, you know,
Josh Brolin, Elizabeth Olsen,
Samuel L. Jackson's in it. Shalto Coppola's in it. Like, it's an absolutely mad cast. Anyway, right, my number 8, my Mission Impossible pick.
Is Henry Cavill reloading his arms?
Henry Cavill is reloading his arms in the bathroom. So this is the bathroom fight from Fallout, which I remember I went to the cinema to watch Fallout, and I was just absolutely in awe of everything that they did in that film. I was like, how have they done all of this? But the Henry Cavill fight scene in the bathroom, pre it going viral for the fact that apparently his shirt grows a pocket and he grows a beard in the whole time that it happens, which is just insane. I have no idea how that happened. But then, like, people have watched it back and gone, we don't even know how that appeared to have happened. Something to do with the lighting must have happened at that point. But it's such a visceral fight scene and it's so good. And again, if it brings you like a meme of, reload your arms because you're in the middle of a fight, it's so mental. But I mean, again, it's a case in point of like Henry Cavill, like he should be doing more stuff. You know, like I think we've almost passed the boat. Like people still bring him up in conversation for Bond and things like that, but I think he's probably too old now at that point. Yeah. But
he's also
working on the Warhammer TV show, so leave him alone until that's done, please.
Okay, sorry, my bad. I will. He's on a retainer with Warhammer
until we've had 15 seasons of that. Just do that.
No, Michael, what's going to happen is he's going to do one season of it pretty unproduced, and then the producers are going to step in, and then Liam Hemsworth.
No, don't do this to me. Don't do this to
me. Not again.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really, really good fight scene in a fantastic film. And I think I didn't really consider the rest of the Mission Impossible films when I was picking one, because there are like little nuggets in each of them. Like they all weirdly have their own sort of identity a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, we were talking before about like
for a lot of them, they've got individual directors, haven't they?
Yeah, because Brad Bird did one, and like J.J. Abrams did the third one, and then eventually when Christopher McQuarrie comes on, it's like this is Tom Cruise with a director going, let's do that big action stuff.
Let's do what Tom says. I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, let's go do these things.
I feel like Mission Impossible are always Tom Cruise trying to outdo a different film. And then towards the end, he started watching the Fast and Furious franchise. And that's what the last two films are trying to outdo. Like, how ridiculous can we be? You know, because Tom Cruise should have died like 37 times in the last film. Just in the submarine alone.
We went to watch the last one, didn't we, with Sam? And I
Yeah.
remember coming out of it going, we were talking about it was a USB stick that they put something on, and it's like, why are we still on a USB stick? Like what?
Mm.
Absolute madness.
Get on the cloud, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's all in the OneDrive. You need
I
to
do need
download
to
it.
get on the Mission Impossible because I've only ever seen 1, 2, and 4. And
Thing
like,
is,
I
it
know,
turns out the missions aren't that impossible.
yeah, they're
No,
just
there's quite a
difficult.
few of them. Yeah, mission difficult.
Yeah,
Like so, the third one's really good, if not just for Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance.
yeah. Like I've seen
Um,
him enough in there.
Rogue Nation is quite good, quite underrated. There's a good bike scene in that. Going back to the
Mhm.
second one, Fallout is stunning. Fallout is stunning, and I would say Dead Reckoning Part One, or at least they marketed it as Part One, and then they changed the name of the final one to Final Reckoning, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. Final Reckoning, I think, loses its way a little bit, but they're good. They're
Yeah.
good films, you know. Right, yeah. So that's my number eight. Holly, what's your number eight?
Um, it's another classic action hero, Colin Firth in the Kingsman, the church fight.
Oh yes.
I maybe that's more of a set piece than a fight, but
Oh no, it's definitely a
I
fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
raw, isn't
think
it?
it's the number one. The music makes the fight scene
Mm.
for me. Just like
Freebird.
Freebird absolutely blasting for this whole scene. I love how it's like one of the most chaotic, frenetic, like ridiculous fights you can imagine. You should lose people in that scene, and you never ever lose Colin Firth because the camera is just following him. Yeah, it's brutal. You gasp like 100 times in this fairly short scene, but also it's just so fun. And I didn't love the film. I thought it was fine, but I think that a lot of action films from around that time had a sort of Dark Knight idea in their head. It needs to be a bit grim, or like Taken, it needs to be a bit grubby. Like I don't
Daniel
know,
Craig's Bond.
Kingsman, yeah, it was much more cartoony
Mhm.
Mm.
and fun and big and ridiculous than a lot of the action films that were coming out at that time, and that felt like a bit of a palate cleanser. I really enjoyed the fight scenes, especially, even if the plot was a bit meh. And that one is just brilliant. And I kind of believe Colin Firth is doing that.
Mm.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is. Like
All
he
those
did. Like
people
he did.
genuinely died.
Does
It's
he?
real. It's a real thing.
As they should.
Like they just
So
went to a standard like Baptist church in America, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
yeah, just
Like, yeah,
You
I
don't
mean,
shock me with that
that wasn't the
information.
film. That
no.
wasn't the scene they were trying to film. It just
it
ended
didn't
up.
even hit
Yeah.
the newspapers because it's just so standard over there.
We're at the point where Colin Firth has been mentioned at the same amount of times as Jet Li in a
Yes.
greatest fight scene.
As he
Yeah.
should.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's an action
so
hero.
didn't expect that. Didn't expect that.
Should have.
Yeah, he should have, yeah. But yeah, no, it is a very, very good fight scene. Okay, right. Number sevens. Oliver, you're going to kick us off with number seven.
Okay. This is my Batman entry.
Okay.
And I thought, well, it was one of those, well, I've got to get a Batman one in there, but if you look at his probably objectively best run of films, there's not really great fight scenes in them. Like, you look at Dark Knight, even Dark Knight, there's not a fight scene in there that I kind of latch onto and think, oh, that's brilliant. You could maybe argue the Bane fight in Dark Knight Rises, and I did consider that because it is a great fight. I just love Batman getting beat down every now and then. That is fun. But then I remembered the warehouse scene in Batman v Superman, otherwise a pretty mediocre film at best, but that one scene felt like the most Batman stuff I'd ever seen, ever.
Mhm.
But then I remembered that animated Batman films exist. And I went with Batman versus the Mutant Leader in the first part of Dark Knight Returns. Because it is just such an epitome of what Batman is as a character and why it is that he wins fights. He doesn't often win fights because he is the stronger person in the fight. He wins it because he's smart and he knows how to hurt you. And the context of this is there is a random character, never mentioned again in any other Batman media as far as I'm aware, called the Mutant Leader. He's a leader of a gang that's kind of taken over Gotham. And he's just this big, hulking thug. Not too bright. And in the first fight that Batman has with this guy almost kills him, and he has to like get saved by technology and Robin at the time. And he realizes that the mutants respect strength. He needs to beat this guy in a one-on-one fight in order to stop the mutants from running havoc. So he releases him from prison. He lets him escape from prison in such a way where he ends up in a mud hole. And Batman fights him there because at this point, Batman is old. And he puts him in a mud hole because it slows them both down. And he does little things that don't hurt him, but help him win the fight. He gives him a tiny cut just above his eyes that won't stop bleeding. He traps a nerve bundle in his chest so he can't use his arm. And despite all of this, Mutant Leader still has the physical advantage. And then it's finished off with this incredible line delivered by Peter Weller as Batman, so RoboCop as Batman, unbelievable. He knocks the Mutant Leader in the head, and he's already bleeding, and he's already punched him in the nose way too many times. And he says, "You don't get it, son. This isn't a mud hole. This is an operating table, and I'm the surgeon." As he's saying that, he's grabbed the guy's arm, got him in a jiu-jitsu hold, and he breaks his arm. He gets on top, he punches him way too many times, he grabs one of his flailing legs behind him, and he breaks that too. And all of that is happening in front of the mutants. The music swells, and you just know that Batman has now won the mutants. And he has their respect. They don't respect this leader anymore. He has gained control over them. And it is the most Batman fight I've ever seen. If you haven't seen Dark Knight Returns, parts 1 and 2, watch them. They are incredible bits of Batman media. Like, they are unbelievable.
Okay.
With Batman getting control of the mutants, and also the fact that Batman gets his back broken by Bane, tells me that there's a universe in which Batman becomes Charles Xavier. Like,
I don't even know why they're called the mutants, because they're not mutants. They're all just skinheads with weird glasses. That
they need a gimmick, though, don't they?
That Frank Miller came up with. And also in the second film, there's like a topless woman with swastikas covering her nipples. Like, it's a weird story a lot of the time. But...
yeah. I will return to Batman later.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. Shock. My number 7 is the Crazy 88 fight from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, that is absolute insanity. Like, what on earth is going on here? And again, it was, I was about to say it was around about a time where I'd started watching 18-rated films, but I was like 13. So I shouldn't have been watching 18-rated films. But it was like the gore that just is on display, and then the fact that they just switched to black and white, because it's like, I don't think we'll get away with this if
the only way to get away with it, yeah.
This much blood everywhere. Because I think the Bride, as a character, instantly entered the sort of pop culture sphere of just being iconic in terms of the yellow jumpsuit and all that kind of stuff. And then as a bit of an Easter egg, if you watch Taskmaster, Phil Wang, like, copying that, what a guy.
They copied Bruce Lee, don't forget that.
Yeah. I mean, Tarantino, as much as he wants to say that he has an original bone in his body, I don't think he does. I think there was a time where he wrote a script, and then since then he's copied himself and everybody else that he likes, which, you know, is fine. We'll just get on with it. But I think it's really visceral, and it is. We were talking before off podcast about like this idea of like one versus a few or one versus many. That's a very one versus many fight, but it's a lot of fun as well. I think it's quite an enjoyable one to watch, and I think it doesn't outstay its welcome. Because I spoke before about the Punisher one, which I feel like did outstay its welcome a little bit. I think this doesn't, and it does exactly what it needs to do to get across, even more so, that you don't mess with the Bride, because she's clearly on a warpath at that point. But yeah, That is,
Isn't there like a time that Lucy Liu's character gives? It's like, I want her dead inside 5-10 minutes, and then the fight scene
is
is
exactly
like
that time.
that time
Yeah.
minus a second, or like the bride says to her, "I'm going to kill you within 10 minutes," and the
Yeah.
bride kills her in like 9 minutes 59.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah.
I have seen that before, actually, in like one of the movie trope kind of things. That rings true, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's my only, I suppose, Tarantino one, because I mean, he's like there've been few across the time, but it tends to be more because I did think about Cliff Booth versus the Manson family, from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But I was like, that was essentially just Brad Pitt's Oscar waiting waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me have this weird hate fantasy for Bruce Lee for whatever reason earlier on in the film.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
he's working out some things in that film.
Yeah, it's just a weird film. Once
It
upon a
is. It
time in
is a weird
Hollywood.
one. Yeah. Right. Number 7 from Holly, please.
I originally had a Kill Bill fight in there, and I swapped it out later.
Okay.
I had the one against Copperhead just in her living room, and then her daughter comes back in.
Yeah.
So I really like that fight, and then shoots her through the box of Frosties. But I moved it out at the last minute, literally at the last minute when Ollie said Princess Bride in his honorable mentions, and I remembered that was on my original list and it must go back on, so I moved out Kill Bill. Yeah, the Princess Bride, Inigo against Dread Pirate Roberts, as we know him at that point. I think that's a masterclass in introducing your characters. I think the first time we hear Dread Pirate Roberts speak is when he's hanging on the cliff and Inigo helps him up to start that fight. So up till then, we're not expecting a particular voice. I mean, the actor to an extent, but I was not expecting that clipped English voice to come out of the Dread Pirate Roberts. I was thinking pirate, I was thinking dread, I was thinking gruff,
Expecting
and when he
Barbosa.
comes,
Yeah.
yeah. And when he climbs up and starts that fight, and it's all very gentlemanly, and they're so polite to each other, but it's still a good fight. It's still a good sword fight. I just think that's an excellent character introduction, and also character growth from Inigo, who you've seen already. Seems like a nice guy, even though he's working with the bad guy.
He's just a mercenary.
But it cements that, like, mercenaries are usually the worst guys, Ollie.
No,
The
I know, but like
worst,
you understand that
worst guys.
he's just doing it for the money. He's like, and as he said, there's not a lot of money in
Yeah.
revenge.
Yeah, no, there is not. But he could have been a hairdresser instead. Something honest. But instead decided to be a mercenary. That doesn't shine a good light on his character. But in that fight, you see his fairness, you see his motivation, you see that he's just a golden guy. And the same for Dread Pirate Roberts, and you see that there's a secret there and there's more to him there. And the fantastic swap to his right hand is just a fabulous twist in a fight scene, which I love to see. Yeah, it's just a great scene. It does everything it needs to do, and it makes you smile, and it's fun, and it's just a good fight.
It's the little details as well, like with that left-handed swap. Inigo is wearing his sword as if he is right-handed, so maybe Wesley knows that it's a ruse, whereas Wesley is wearing his sword as if he is left-handed. So that would have come as a genuine surprise to Inigo. And just the killer lines, it's like, who are you? No one of consequence. I must not. Get used to disappointment. Okay. Fight again. We got to give props to the Count Rugen fight as well.
Yeah.
So cathartic. And like, there's the obvious story about like Mandy Patinkin at that point. He was pretending that Count Rugen was cancer because he lost his dad to cancer. And that's why it's, for such a silly film overall, that scene is just so emotionally raw. Like when he says, I want my father back, you son of a bitch, you feel that.
Yeah.
Like, that is brutal. But yeah, I put it on my
But
honorable list for a reason. It's great.
yeah, they're just brilliant actors in that scene as well. And you didn't so much need brilliant fighters, you needed brilliant actors because it's an emotional and story furthering scene. So yeah, just great. Great film, great fight.
Nice. Michael, you're number 7.
Yeah, my number 7 is my Lord of the Rings entry, of which there could have been many, because I love Lord of the Rings and but I mean, a lot of the fights are in the middle of battles, so I discounted them for that reason. But the one for me, even though it's really short, and I'm 99% sure doesn't happen in the books, but I haven't read the books in a good few years, is Aragorn versus the Wraiths on Weathertop. So, like, they're all there, and he just comes in and absolutely just demolishes them, which should be impossible. There should be no way he can succeed in that. But he just comes in and just kind of like bum rushes some of the most powerful beings in Middle Earth at that point, including the Witch King. The Witch King is one of the Ringwraiths present on Weathertop, and they've run away from this like one guy. And I think it's your first, and I think it's a really good addition to the film because it's your first kind of view that Aragorn is something special. He's not just some guy in the woods. You know, he's genuinely someone. And it's where we first kind of see just how impressive that he is. And it's such a quick fight as well. Like he comes in and dismantles them. You know, he uses the fire to his advantage. Not that anyone ever does that again, or they ever seem to be afraid of fire again. But
And
it's
water.
just really fun.
They're terrified of water as well. Like
all of them is in the shape of horses. Yeah.
No, they don't jump. They don't jump after them on Buckleberry Ferry.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're terrified. They're terrified of the classic. If you just start hurling rocks at them, they're terrified as well. Just the classic.
Maybe the
anything coming their way, they're afraid of.
But yeah,
oh my god, harsh words.
Really and women really terrified of women.
Oh, women attack because
society.
As they should be.
But yeah, no, I just feel like if we take all the fact, because my other one is again Aragorn. Well, it's not. It's kind of Boromir versus the other guy, and then Aragorn coming in again heroically and saving him. A lot of the best parts of Lord of the Rings are Aragorn turned up unexpectedly, actually. But yeah, it's really fun and it's really decisive. And again, it's one of those things in Lord of the Rings where we've kind of said before about Marvel always needing the grey, you know, whereas Aragorn is just the good guy and the bad guys, and he comes in and the bad guys are defeated and gone away and good has prevailed. And there's a lot of that in Lord of the Rings, and I think that's the first real moment of it.
I want to give a shout out then, because one I keep forgetting about every time, Sam versus Shelob.
Yeah.
That is a fight. Like the fact that Sam is the only mortal to have ever wounded Shelob, who is not just a big spider. She's a she-devil. Like she's a witch. She's very, very powerful. And Sam, I mean, admittedly, one problem with that fight is Sam does make me feel kind of sorry for the evil big spider, because the pathetic noises she makes after she gets stabbed are like kind of like, oh. Like that's the point where you remember, oh yeah, Sam's an absolute boy. Like
okay. 6s. I'm going to start us off with my number 6. This is my Star Wars pick, Oliver, which you might think is too.
Okay, oh no, I can guess which one it is based on context clues.
Go on then.
You've gone with Duel of the Fates, haven't you?
I've gone with Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
Because it's a great fight scene.
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
Why? What?
I think in isolation, you're right.
Okay.
You're absolutely, there's nothing wrong. In isolation, it is a fantastic fight scene. It's a visual spectacle. The choreography is incredible.
Right.
And even some of the storytelling moments within it are great. It's just something you can pick apart if you spend too long thinking about it.
But, well, I don't. That's why I like it.
That's most of Star Wars, though, isn't it? To be fair.
The non-diegetic score is superb.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You know.
It is one of the best bits of Star Wars music ever, which is crazy.
I don't know which fight this is. I don't know its title.
This is Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in Phantom Menace. Yeah. when they just come out swinging, and eventually it does lead to Qui-Gon's death. But
Like
There
prowling
was,
like a tiger behind the force field.
yes, yes.
I
Brilliant.
love that
I loved
moment.
that. I fell into that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
because I think I must have seen the original trilogy before I saw Phantom Menace, but it wasn't latched on. Like I didn't have that
I
sort
think I
of,
was like that.
M-
Yeah.
yeah,
Mine was very concurrent.
because
I think.
I didn't have that sort of, like my dad or my stepdad weren't really fussed about Star Wars. My uncle mentioned it every now and again, and I think I watched it through like lending the videos off him, but it wasn't a kind of. I feel like the people who are obsessed with Star Wars are the ones whose like parents brought them up on it essentially, if they're around
Mm,
our age. And I saw Phantom Menace in the cinema, and I
yeah,
was
same.
with my a different uncle, who I only realised afterwards, and as I got older, he was absolutely devastated by what Phantom Menace was because he grew up with the original trilogy. And at the end of it, I was like, "I was quite good that, weren't he?" And he was just devastated as to what he'd just seen.
Yeah,
But I remember seeing that Darth Maul doing the prowling and being like, "This guy, like, he's a proper bad
yeah,
guy." And then weirdly, it all coming full circle when you watch Insidious and being in the Q&A with James Wan, and he's like, people keep saying he looks like Darth Maul, and I didn't think anyone would remember the Phantom Menace. But
one of
One thing I
the
didn't realize is
arguably the
Darth Maul
biggest
is
film of 1999. Like, what are you talking about, James?
Darth Maul. Is it played by Peter Serafinowicz? Is that
Voice
right?
wise, yeah.
voiced by
Voiced by
him,
him.
Ray
Ray
Park
Park,
is the
yeah.
actor.
Right, because I remember like watching it again recently, hearing him speak and being like, I know that voice.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then be like, but he doesn't look anything like him.
Because I remember
Um,
weirdly latching onto Ray Park for a little bit because he did this and he did Toad in X-Men, and I was
And
like,
then he
look at
did
this
X
guy.
versus Sever Ballistic.
Oh God. But yeah,
And then he released a load of videos of his ex, and we don't like him anymore.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can't talk about anyone these days. Right.
No.
Yeah, I really liked it. So that's it. Right. Number 6 from Holly, please.
It's also my Star Wars pick. I'm sorry, you're not gonna like my pick. I was like going between this one and the Praetorian Guard fight. I really
Mm.
like that. I love the visuals of it. I know it's really different from other fights in Star Wars,
I
but I
love the
just liked
Praetorian
it.
Guard fight.
But I've chosen Return of the Jedi, the final fight
Yeah, love
with
it.
Vader. Um, I just like the brutality of it, and there's something about the visuals of it that just stuck in my mind forever. Of when Luke is under the like the walkway and it's dark and there's blue glows from the control panels and Vader's just stalking him under this walkway and Luke is just like hiding behind something and he just looks so terrified. You've seen him be a badass for almost all the film, like all the stuff at the beginning, he's a badass Jedi now. He's amazing. Like he gets stuff wrong lots in the film. He like, makes a lot of mistakes, but he's really powerful now. And in that moment, he's just the same as he was in Empire Strikes Back fighting Vader, like just feeling like he's outmatched and he's scared. But then comes back and is so brutal. And that moment where
Oh.
Vader falls and he's just bam, bam, bam,
Mm,
that's the emotional moment of Star Wars for me. It's
mm,
like in that moment, it's not, is Vader going to die? In that moment, I'm just like, oh my God, is Luke his father? Is Luke going to turn?
mm,
And I still feel that. I know he's not going to, but I feel that worry in that moment because I think it's played so well. And I think that fight is so, like, such an important moment for, like, the whole franchise, even in the lesser film of
mm.
the
The
trilogy.
music gets so overlooked throughout Return of the Jedi, like especially that swell where he loses his cool, and you've got that
Hmm.
tracking shot with
Yeah.
the like Vader on the back foot the entire time, and he spent this entire time really leashed. Like you've seen Vader being like the big bad throughout the previous two films, and then he's just silent throughout most of this.
Yeah.
He just joins in with the odd thing. But yeah, it is a stunning fight. I do love that one.
As much as I don't like Jedi, I do admit that it is a very good fight scene.
Mm.
You know.
Although I do remember you saying you hated the conversations between like
Yeah.
Luke and the Emperor
Yeah.
in the climaxes when I would happily get rid of like all the crap on Endor and like the space battle going. I would happily just have this as my
Yeah.
ending to it. Just Luke and the Emperor tete-a-tete, giving as good as you get. Ian McDiarmid chewing all the scenery around him and being beautiful for it. Just loving.
Yeah. Right. Michael, you're number 6.
My mistake is again from a film that it's full of great fight scenes. It's Gladiator. But the one I went for is Maximus versus Tigris, the champion in the arena, like with the tigers. He's kind of got to stay in the middle. And it is just like a real gladiator coliseum, like not how it actually was, but how we see it in our minds. You know what I mean? Because I know in reality, gladiators were really expensive and they actually tried to, it was all spectacle. It's like modern day wrestling, but a little bit more dangerous. But in this, it really is like a fight to the death. If they even stray too far to the side, the tigers are going to rip them apart. The other guy's got better armor than him and better equipment. He's on the back foot initially. And the other guy's kind of cheating a little bit as well, like kicking sand at him, whereas he's fighting a bit more honorably.
They're keeping the tigers from getting the other guy as
Yeah,
well. Like,
exactly. So it's really against him. Like the Emperor's set this up to kill him off. And it's just such a good, like the whole scene is really tense. And like although you kind of know Maximus is gonna survive because you know that he's the hero and he's the film's not even close to the end yet. So it'd be a really weird ending. But yeah, it's so fun. And the entire of Gladiator is just like fight scene after fight scene, and like all of them are fantastic. But this is the one where it really is like two guys at the absolute pinnacle, in their like going at each other. And it's kind of like I've seen like the Spartacus TV show. It's like there's some fights in that even though they way overuse slow-mo in that. There's some fights in that where you've got these two gladiators who fight for a living and it's all they know. And it's that kind of thing where they're just like, this is who they are, this is what they do. And it's an absolute masterclass. It's the thing that Gladiator 2 is all right, but there's nothing in that entire film that comes close to that scene. It's
I feel like with a thing like this, you almost need a scene like that to show Maximus struggling through and getting somewhere. But ultimately, like your sort of final showdown with the Joaquin Phoenix character, it's not going to be anywhere near as good as a fight as what you've seen him do before, because at that point, his character shouldn't be able to fight and stand up against Maximus and do all that kind of stuff because it just does away with the whole premise of it.
And he can't, can he? He has to like cheat.
Yeah. So you need something like this in the middle that's a really solid fight to sort of stack everything up ready for later on in the film. I've not seen the first one in ages though. Like I was going to rewatch it before we went to watch the second one, but I just did. Time just passed me by. But yeah, the second one I think fell a little bit flat, didn't it? But Paul Mescal's good,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it was all right. It's not a terrible film.
Yeah.
I hated the second one.
Well,
Did you?
so we went to watch the
Oh.
second one, and all I remember thinking was, how have they put like sharks in there, and and like
I think it violated my number one rule for films, which is if you're going to be silly, no, you're silly.
yeah.
I felt like the tone was more serious than the silly stuff they were giving us.
yeah,
I would have loved a campy, really silly version. Like, well, it was already campy and really silly.
yeah,
If everyone had known, like, if the direction had been, we're campy and silly all over it, but there
Well,
was
like
a
Kingsman.
disconnect for me that ruined it.
Kingsman knows what it is. Kingsman doesn't
Yeah,
think it's.
you've got to know what you are. That is the number one rule for a film.
Yeah.
What's your tone? What you're going for?
I am
Then do
amazed
it.
I've not been to see Gladiator 2 because it does contain Daddy Pedro, and that is George's favorite person in the world, above me.
Yeah, it's too right.
He is very much Daddy Pedro in that
Yeah.
film.
In every film.
In every
Like she sat through The Unbearable Weight of Immense Talent because she hates Nicolas Cage, and she sat through that because it had Pedro
That is
Pascal.
legitimately a really good
It's a
film.
really good
I
film.
love that film. It was
Excellent
brilliant.
film.
Yeah.
Right, number 6 from Oliver.
Okay, we have a swashbuckling classic from
Oh.
the 90s. It's Zorro versus Captain Love in The Mask of Zorro. Like, even if it's not on your list, but you're hearing that, you're like, oh yeah, that is just the whole bit. Like, I miss these films. Like, I genuinely think if this kind of film came out today, it would still be well received.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that when they've tried to do it, they've taken the wrong messages from it. But the music is stunning. That simple shot at the beginning where he lets the sun glint off his sword as he pulls it out is fantastic. Like, you seeing Love get more emotional, and that's why he loses the fight, because that's what Diego taught Alejandro. It's like, never resort to anger, because he's a trained killer. He knows how to kill. He will do that, and that's ultimately his downfall. Like, I do like the fact that Love is largely on the back foot throughout the like, somehow in the year or so, like, Alejandro has become a much better sword fighter. Like, not just power of vengeance fueling him. He's a more skilled fighter. He's more, and maybe he's leaning into his thieving a little bit. I don't know, but it has so much payoff as fights go. That moment where he just punches the sword, punches him, and then runs the sword through him on top of that elevator. And he's dying very, very slowly. And they do about 5 different reveals of, oh, I'm Alejandro Murrieta. It's like, yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
But we don't care. Like, we've got about 5 of those throughout the one fight. And concurrently, you've got the fight between Diego and Rafael.
Mm-hmm.
Which also, like, as you take that into it, it's, finally these two are setting aside their differences. And it is one of my favorite villain deaths in film. It's just an over-the-top spectacle, massive stun, because I'm never a fan of just, they're done with a single blow, or like in Bond, where the rare points where Bond just straight up shoots his villain. I'm not really a fan of that. I like the villains to have a very over-the-top cathartic death, and just being dragged off the side of a cliff by a cart full of gold that you stole, and it's slamming into your second in command, and they're both screaming in fear as this happens. As Scorsese would say, absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema at number 6.
Absolute cinema. Hey, they get better and better from here as well. Like, everything from here on in is just
pure Star Wars picks.
Oh,
all 5.
Even the sequel, which isn't as good, I love the fight between Zorro and Rufus Sewell on the train.
Rufus Sewell, what a guy.
I don't remember who he's playing, but like, that's a great fight scene. And again, fantastic villain death of he's strapped to the front of a train filled with nitroglycerin, and he just crashes into a train, into a mound of earth, and the whole thing explodes.
You don't need to know
this is the end of Batman Begins, isn't it?
He is Rufus Sewell, the end.
I mean, does a joust count as a fight? Can I retrospectively add a Knight's Tale in, now that you've mentioned Rufus Sewell? Or we leave that for action set pieces?
Action set pieces.
Yes, leave that for that one.
We need that now.
That's going to happen now. Yeah.
Well, the Pope may be French, but Jesus was English.
I love a Knight's Tale. Right, Holly, your number 5, please.
Oh. Okay, my number 5 is Aliens, the Queen versus Ripley in the mech.
Can I interject here very briefly? So sorry, Holly. It is also my number 5.
Okay, good.
Oh, cool.
That makes that easy.
We're doing it for the girls.
Yeah, I love this fight because I just think it's really clever. I love Alien and Aliens equally because I think they're totally different genres.
Yeah, same.
But both filmmakers understand that the last encounter with this creature should be one-on-one. And like in the first film where it's her wits, her slow, careful getting the alien out of the hatch. And then the second one, what do you do? How do you get this even bigger creature, even more indestructible creature in a one-on-one with our hero? We can't do the same thing we did last time and do some kind of sneaky, clever stuff.
Well, also she's smart. She can figure out buttons and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
this
we
one's
can't
cleverer.
outsmart her.
Yeah. And there's more of a like simpatico thing going on because there's all the symbolism about being a mother and blah blah blah. So how do you make it equal? You turn Ripley into a kaiju. You make her a transformer. And the fact that it's like set up at the
You
beginning,
give her
that it was her
Chekhov's
job at the
mech
beginning.
suit.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's that pure thing where your face goes, oh yeah, come on. Yeah, the sound effects in that fight are the thing I wanted to bring up because the swooping tail is terrifying. Like just the sound, like a whip sound of the alien's tail coming around, and you know that's kind of the only way that the alien queen's going to be able to get at her because of the cage that she's in this mech. Yeah, I just love this fight, and I love how they very cleverly found a way to make it a one-on-one fair fight against a creature that you've been told the whole time is like evolutionary
The
advanced
perfect
to just
organism,
kill,
and it's
kill,
this the
kill.
pinnacle of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's angry as well because, like, I love that, like, with no dialogue, obviously, because it's a xenomorph, but you can tell this alien hates Ripley.
well,
She
that's the
burnt
sound
her.
effects again, the hissing.
Yeah, she burnt her babies. She burnt her babies, and then she threatened him again, and she's just how does like is this is a Stan Winston? I'm pretty sure, isn't it?
I don't know.
Like the puppets for the Alien Queen. It's probably Stan Winston.
I'm trying to think of because
I think
I'm getting confused because I've just taught Alien at A level, so Geiger's just in my head. But
Geiger obviously did the design.
he did the design, didn't he?
And I think he'd also designed the Alien Queen or had a hand in it. But like in terms of the actual puppet that you see moving, and again, this is 1986. They're not CGIing a thing here. That Alien Queen is an on-camera effect.
Yeah, it is. It is Stan Winston,
and it's the most alive I've ever seen. I think it took like 6 people to operate, and again, like it is obvious it's going to come up because it is Chekhov's mech suit. Like you see her loading trying to be useful to the Marines earlier on and loading it up, and it's like, oh, that's going to come back later somehow. I don't know how.
But it's a long old film. You've got just enough time to completely forget about it.
Yeah, and you think where is Ripley gone? She's not abandoned Newt, surely not after all that. And like Newt's in trouble, and then you see the doors and the thing, and you're just like, oh, it's happening. And then that line, just like where Sigourney Weaver went from a great actress into an absolute icon. Get away from her, you bitch! Just. There was nothing wrong with that fight. I even love how kind of like awkward and slow it is because they are two
because the mech
things.
is slow. The queen is huge. The only fast thing is the tail.
Yeah. And I love that again. She doesn't die when she's in space. She's just like fuming that this mech's on top of her as she's hurtling through the vacuum of space. Again, yeah, absolute cinema.
We're finally getting an Alien Isolation 2 as well.
I know, God, I don't want to think about how terrifying that would be.
Oh my God, can't wait. Michael, then you're number 5.
Yes, this is my MCU, my Marvel pick.
Oh,
I think the Marvel film with all of the best fights actually, but the one I've picked is Shang-Chi versus Wenwu. Specifically the second encounter when they're both using the 10 rings and he's using a lot of his mother's kind of fighting style, which is what defeated him the first time. And he's kind of instinctively using that because I don't think he was taught to fight that way necessarily. He just instinctively fighting and instinctively takes control of the rings because it's kind of like destiny. It's what he's meant to do. It's who he's meant to be. And I honestly like Shang-Chi. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite Marvel movie, but it's definitely, I think, the one people don't talk about it the most, which
It's
is crazy.
crazy how overlooked it is. It's such a good film.
So good. Like the bus fight scene was my other consideration because that's the moment where it's like, oh, he's not just some kid. You know what I mean? He's this like amazing martial artist.
I was worried he was going to go through like this discovery of his destiny and he'd have to learn martial arts. It's like, no, he's already there. Aquafina is our fish out of water. Okay, I like I like this as a narrative device.
It's a great film all the way through. And I think like the second fight is so good because in the first fight he's outclassed. And there's not very long between those. It's minutes. But I think it's that in the first fight, he doesn't really want to fight his dad. And in the second fight, he knows it's inevitable now, so he's all in. And it's that like real final confrontation. None of them really wants to hurt the other one, but they're both really going for it because they've both got something more important, something bigger. And it's just such a fantastic like clash of some like really good martial arts, but also like the rings and stuff are being used really well. Like they're not just being slung at people or, you know, as we've seen them being used before, they're both using them quite creatively against each other as both like shields and sword. Which yeah, I really enjoy it. And I think there's no other like one-on-one fight. The only other thing that kind of came close to it for me is Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man because of like the raw emotion in that scene. It's like no matter who wins this, it's bad. Like there's no good. And again, here it is. No matter what, this is going to be sad at the end because we don't actually want either of them. Even though Wenwu's not like a good guy, he's Shang-Chi's dad, so you kind of want him to be okay.
But he's one of the Marvel villains as well, where his misguided goal doesn't seem forced. Like it is a genuine. I do completely understand where you are coming from here and what you're looking to do. I do just disagree with you though. You're not evil, but you are a villain. And he's a good one. And like Tony Young's acting in it is just, again, he's actually, they're bringing Shang-Chi back finally for Doomsday, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because he's not been in anything, and it's like, why? He was.
I know it's such a waste of such an amazing character.
Yeah, well, and an amazing actor. Like he's so charismatic in Barbie movie.
Yeah. I was actually sending to Nella this morning actually on Instagram, and it's like, Ghost Rider Shang-Chi, we need you to distract Doctor Doom, and it's the dance off from Barbie.
I need that in my life. I need that.
So good.
Right, my number 5 is I'm going to bring us crashing back down to earth now. This is the one where I'm convinced none of you have got it. But it's amazing if you need to go back and watch it. It's just two detectives, you know, and they're trying to discover what happened.
Is it the Nice Guys?
No, just two detectives. They're trying to discover what happened to one of the late dads, like who was responsible for the death and stuff like that. And they find the way into a massage parlor, and it turns out it's like an undercover triad operation. And it's Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan kicking God knows who out of God knows what in Rush Hour 2.
Rush Hour.
Now, so Rush Hour 1 and 2, I love. The third one is a bit right? The second one specifically is the point where, with the first one, they were going for the buddy cop thing, and they'd not really leaned into the comedic side of it yet. The second one, they really do, where they're like, you know what, we're going to make it funny, and it's going to be an action as well, right? This fight scene, I kid you not, is one of the best choreographed fight scenes I think I've ever seen. Because obviously it's Jackie Chan as well, but they're on like these massage parlor chairs, which are the ones that can lean back. So the amount of times where like he's on a chair and it gets flipped over or it leans back, they get a lamp and just chuck it at each other. They're in like little dressing gowns while they're doing it. And then Chris Tucker's just adding the comedy running through it of he doesn't really know what to do. So he's just like, right. And there's a point where Jackie Chan's character of Lee does the splits. And he's trying to figure out how to get back up. And he says to Carter, he says, flip me. And he says, what do you mean? And he says, flip me. And he literally lifts his leg up, flips him up in the air and spins him around. And then Jackie Chan just takes two people out behind him. It is honestly one of the best fight scenes. And I know that it doesn't really come from a film that you'd consider to be good for fight scenes, but I highly, highly recommend that you watch it
It
back.
is quite peak Jackie Chan, though, isn't it? It is very
Yeah.
Yeah.
like he's just amazingly talented in
Mhm.
like his physicality. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things in that fight scene that's taken from his more serious fights.
Yeah.
It just added a comedy spin overall. Like with the chairs going back, that's many times he's on a chair
Mhm.
and then he flips back over the chair and now he's holding the chair as a weapon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it is, yeah, it's one of those things where he's just mastered fight scenes to the point that it can be a bit slapstick now.
Yeah.
It's just
Like,
timing, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Like a good action scene and a good comedy scene are just timing, and I
Yeah.
think Jackie Chan is like
He's
the
so
best
good
at
at being
that.
between them both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Rush Hour 2 where there's like, because they do outtakes after both the Rush Hour films, I'm pretty sure, but the second one, sorry, there's a point where he's having a fight and someone goes to hit him with like a stick
Yes.
and he blocks it with his hand and they both come in a bit too hot and he just breaks the stick
Yeah.
and it doesn't hurt him and he just kind of goes, oh! Like, I swear that's like all of the fight scenes in like Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Night.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But I mean,
a very like the peak Jackie Chan I remember is like, yes, these fight scenes are honest to God some of the best choreographed stuff you've ever seen in your life, but they're also pretty damn funny.
yeah. But don't you just love the fact that Jackie Chan doesn't take himself seriously at all? Like
Yeah,
he knows that he
despite
can do
being
it.
really quite badass, like because he's doing
Yeah.
it all genuinely doing most of these.
Yeah. Like the
stunts
number of times
himself.
that man has nearly died.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
Yeah, no,
there's
he's
stuff, there's
genuinely
stuff in, I think
fantastic.
it is the second Rush Hour where he's climbing down a bamboo scaffold on the side of a building, and it's just like effortless. And then when you realize that that was just him doing it all himself,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, what is what is this guy doing? But yeah, if you've not seen that fight scene in a while, honestly, go back and watch it because it's absolutely stellar, and it just makes me laugh every time I watch it. So there's my number 5, Rush Hour 2. Michael, your number 4.
My number 4 is Achilles versus Hector in Troy.
nice. Great fight.
It's just I remember like as a kid watching it and just like I mean I love Troy. I think it's such a great film, regardless of like how I want to say historically inaccurate, but it's a myth anyway, isn't it? So,
It's a myth, yeah.
but maybe it's not. We don't know. We weren't there. Maybe it's all real. But it's just so good, and it's also like we know Hector's fantastic. We know he's a really good warrior, but we know Achilles is going to beat him. And it like you know the outcome before the fight starts, but it's how are we going to get there and how good a fight is Hector going to put up. And he puts up a really good fight.
Incredible fight.
Like it is the two absolute powerhouses going at each other, and it almost is like that's the turning point of the war now. Like the minute Hector's lost, Troy's beaten. It doesn't matter about the big walls anymore. The main guy is gone. You know, the king's only got 98 other sons. None of them were any good at fighting. You know, Hector's the main one. And it's just so because like obviously Achilles has gone there with like real burning hatred for it. And it's also the first time we really see Achilles fighting, not just because he wants to fight and he wants to be the best, but he really wants to kill this guy. And I think it's the only time.
His cousin.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Cousin.
yeah. It's yeah, he's a he's an angry lover, isn't he? We know the truth behind it, but he's just so different in that scene than any other point. You know, he's this vengeful, like
he's so
spirit
apathetic the rest of the film, isn't he?
It's almost like, and this is going to be a weird comparison, in the latest Puss in Boots when he's fighting death and it's this inevitable at the beginning. It's that kind of thing. There's no way Hector can survive because this just force of nature is coming at him, and he's just he's death straight up. And just the like spins at the end, in order to stab him with like the broken. It's just so good.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
I love that. I'm going to need to go back and watch Troy again because it's such a good film. Like,
It has every bit of Troy's so good, but that particular scene is just...
I think my favorite moment is where Paris tells Hector what he's done in like stealing Helen away, and he's basically like, Oh, you absolute dick. Like, you're my brother. I love you. I will die for you, but I really don't care
Literally.
for you right now.
Put Puss in Boots: The Last Wish on a list of films that you went into not expecting to enjoy
Oh my
FR.
god, it's the
Oh
best
yeah,
dream. It's the
it's
best
so good.
DreamWorks film by a long way for me.
It's
I
yeah,
had
absolutely
zero
fantastic film.
expectations. It was literally a case of it's a half term. Ruby wants to go to the cinema. This is the only kids' film that's on. And I was
Mm.
like, zero expectations. I came out, I was like, I enjoyed that more than Ruby did.
Yeah,
It's
let's
so
give you a
good.
great film which has
Yeah.
like a really lovely message about like panic attacks and how to best deal with them and
Yeah.
treat them seriously. And
And
also,
let's take a sort of a gamble on the art style.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, was it a gamble because Into the Spider-Verse had done absolute bits with
Well,
it?
you know, it
But
wasn't
Like
DreamWorks.
even like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, like their storyline's so good.
Mm,
They're
yeah,
like I don't know if I call them antagonists. Like I guess
yeah.
they are antagonists,
yeah,
but then they're
yeah.
also unlikely allies, and they kind of change. But like their little side storyline,
Mm.
um,
And I feel like Jack Horner has been, like, because
is
I've
so good.
always
I
like
love Jiminy
the
Cricket
idea that
losing
I've had
faith.
recently. Well, the opinion I've had of like, oh, every villain's got to have some kind of redeeming quality. You've got to understand where they come, and it's almost like DreamWorks heard my complaints about that. It's like, we hear you, Oliver. We are going to make a joke of that with the most irredeemable villain we can come up with, and like to the point where Jiminy Cricket
Yeah,
hates
just
him.
gives up hope. He's
Yeah,
like
gives up hope
really
on it.
trying.
Like, yeah, like there's nothing to go for this guy at all. And we're going to voice him with John Mulaney, and it'll really work. Like,
And we come full circle back to Zorro with Puss in Boots.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
there you go.
outstanding.
Right, number 4, Oliver.
We have another crossover.
Oh,
It's the church scene from Kingsman.
okay.
I just, again, like, Holly's absolutely right. The inclusion of Freebird takes that from a 10 out of 10 scene to a 15 out of 10 scene. It, like, there is literally nothing wrong with that sequence. I remember, like, being in the cinema. I'm more positive on the film than Holly is. I know you don't hate the film, but you said you weren't that into the plot. I think the plot is really silly, and I kind of love it. It's very reminiscent of those kind of old James Bonds where it doesn't make any sense, and that's fine.
No, because I think like Austin Powers almost ruined James Bond
yes,
because it was so silly. James Bond's like, we've got to go ultra.
we've got to go
serious
full
now.
serious now,
And that eventually led to No Time to Die. So I'm okay with that in a way.
Yeah, but it did result in Spectre. So,
yeah. but
Shut up, man.
yeah, it's so like spy movie, but not taking itself seriously.
Yeah,
which is such a wonderful genre.
But I think it did take itself seriously enough when it needed to. It wasn't a complete joke of a film. It wasn't a parody. It was just a bit of a fresh take on it. And you don't expect to see our Obi-Wan go on a murderous rampage at the end of the second act of the film. And you certainly don't expect it to be that impeccable. Like, I remember being in the cinema and thinking, this must have taken so long to do, so long to plan, so long to shoot. It must have taken so many takes. It must have taken so much choreography. Everything on screen happening at once is perfect. It's focused on in such a perfect way. Like, it's brilliant. And you still at that point have this idea, like, you don't know why it's happening. You don't know why Galahad is going around just absolutely wrecking everything because it hasn't yet been fully explained as to what's happening. Like, you understand that it's something to do with what Valentine is doing, but and I love the gimmick still that he won't watch what's happening because he hates the sight of blood. But I love that, like, every single kill has that anger in it as well. He's like, there is that methodical side of him because he is a spy, he is a killer, but there's so many kills he spends a bit too much time on. It's like, you're enjoying this in this moment. Like,
I think it's also kind of shows like how dangerous a Kingsman like unleashed can be.
Yeah,
I think because we kind of see them like quite gentlemanly, but then they've got like the poison blade and like these things are quite serious weapons and they're doing quite serious work.
Yeah,
and then you kind of see the more visceral, deadly side of them.
Like impaling the preacher's head on like that broken bit of the mop and just improvising in the moment. And
I love
like,
there's things happening in the background too that then
Yeah.
he later takes that as a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's
Like, you know,
stabbing someone else with a knife that they brought in. He takes it and just lobs it at a guy's head and like disarms a guy of his gun and like Mozambique drills a couple of guys. Like, it is perfect. And I remember the second one trying to replicate it in the fight between Galahad and I forget what Pedro's name is in that. And I just think I remember thinking
Whiskey, I want to say it's called.
Yeah, whiskey. Like, and it's like, no.
The second one fell off a cliff, didn't it? That's
massively. And I'm really glad because we ended up
Other
watching...
than the country road scene, though, that is impeccable. No, it is.
It went on for too long for me. It's like, I get it. We're sad. You're about to die, Merlin. Like, get over it. But
wow,
no,
heartless man.
But then I remember really like being surprised by The King's Man. I didn't see it in cinemas, but me and Georgia saw it. It was free on one of the streaming sites, and we thought, you know what? We can't think of anything else. We'll give it a go. And that was really good. Like, and it doesn't try to do like that tracking, even when it probably could. In like, there's a fight with Rasputin where it probably could try and do that, and it doesn't. And I'm very grateful for that because they really captured lightning in a bottle with that church scene, and they should just leave it alone and let it exist as this absolute pantheon of filmmaking.
Well, will they though? You know.
Nah.
No. Right. My number 4 is my Batman pick. It's Bane versus Batman and The Dark Knight Rises. Because I was
Which one?
The first where he breaks Batman's back.
You think darkness is your ally.
Yeah, because it solidifies at that point that he is someone not to take lightly. And I think up until that point in the film where you're almost lulling an audience into a full sense of security of going, right, so Batman's come back, he's fine, he's getting back into it, surely that means he's here to beat Bane, and Bane's just like, nah. Like, just because you're here doesn't mean that I'm all of a sudden going to stop anything. I'll have you back. Thank you very much. And I think going into Rises, thinking around the marketing and stuff, the fact that we knew that it was going to be Bane as the villain, that was when the Nightfall sort of discourse started happening, where it was like, right, we know that we're going to see this. This is going to be the backbreak. You know, how are they going to do it? Are they going to do it as they did in the comics? And they pretty much did. It's over your head, bring you back down, break you over my knee, toss you to one side type thing.
And then someone can punch you in the back later to cure that. But cool.
Whatever, right?
That's real medical theory.
See, all of these paraplegics, you know, taking up the NHS's time, they've not been punched in the right section of the back.
Like an old CRT TV.
Yeah.
And they've not had to make the way out of a jogger pit. You know, it's just it's the way that you've got to do it. But because there's the back break, but then there is the bit where Bane is just relentless and he's just punching Batman in the side of his head, and you see the cowl break.
Yeah.
And again, there's things like that where, like my next pick has something very similar to that. That's just very visceral. What?
A beatdown.
A beatdown, yeah, really visceral. But my next one does it a little bit better because there's more emotion to it. Whereas this is like, yeah, purely you just understand Ben at that point, and you're like, right, he is not someone to be messed with. Which is why when his death comes later, when he's just shot by Catwoman on a bike, it's a bit like, oh well, I thought we were going to get a little bit more. To be fair,
I did think, I was disappointed by that death, but then I can't think of any other way that you'd kill him.
Yeah, I mean, it's because they'd essentially got down to the point where it was like, oh, now we're going to bring Talia in. So let's shift the focus a little bit. But have you seen how people are posting this AI slop of Bane walking into Arkham Asylum and releasing Joker from his prison cell?
Well, that was the
plan.
Wasn't
it was the plan, but basically they've got like Claude or whoever to put it together and say this is what it would have looked like, and it's like, yeah, whatever.
I do love the second fight though, where like, I mean, it does feel like a boss's obvious weak spot that he should have exploited earlier, but at the same time, the mask isn't explained. But I do love that initially Like he's like, like, oh no. But that's still like he fights through the pain for a long time and he actually nearly gets over on Batman. Like that bit where he just gets really mad and just punches him way too many times against the pillar. Batman moves, he punches what and then he punches it again like he's annoyed. Like,
It's like, oh, fine, I'll have it again. But
like,
it's like a boss battle in a game where it's like
yeah,
that's the weakness that you've got to
that is
aim
the
for.
weak spot,
Yeah,
yeah. But I do love the sound, like the sound design there where he punches the mask and you hear that and
yeah.
you hear the gas hiss. Like I love that. And I will say, for as much as I do kind of rag on Dark Knight Rises, and I know it annoys you, I will defend Tom Hardy's Bane to the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's easily the best thing about that film, and he is brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Like weird voice, but not.
I like the voice.
I
like
love
in
the
the
voice.
airplane. It's like,
I
what happens
love
if you
it.
take off?
Like,
And that's like, it'd be very painful for you.
for you.
Okay.
Yes, that's my number 4. Holly, what's your number 4?
Hey, I'm so excited because this is another actor that's been on before, and I'm hoping that by the end of the list, this is the only actor who's going to have got 2.
Colin Firth, come on down.
Colin Firth. So I've got Ollie's honourable mention of Bridget Jones's
Right.
fight as number 4. It is just such a good fight.
It is, isn't it?
Love that it's what 2 blokes having a fight would look like. No one looks good. Everyone looks pathetic. They're like trying to kick the bit where they're trying to kick each other in the street.
Like
one of them comes forward and is like kicking but doesn't connect at all. And then the other one tries to kick and he doesn't connect at all either. And they're just like, ow, 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 ow. And then they go into the restaurant and everyone's like, oh my God, what's this? What's this? And they're like, no, I'll pay for it. I'm so sorry. And then punching again. And, oh yeah, I'll pay for it. It's just perfect. The music, it's Raining Men.
Yeah.
The bit, the opening to It's Raining Men, where it's like building up, is the perfect build up to a fight. Everything is pitch perfect in that fight. Absolutely everything. The fact that the friend runs into the Greek restaurant and just goes, fight! A real fight! Come and see it! It just makes me laugh so much because I'm like, yeah, I can see someone doing that. Like, oh my God, a real fight. I've never seen a real fight in a street. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is the thumbnail for this video needs to just be a picture of Colin Firth, essentially.
Please.
Yeah. And it just says to it, next to it, top 10 fight scenes.
Like AI slot of like
Jackie
Colin
Chan.
Firth with boxing gloves on, with like really ripped abs.
Yeah, Jet Li,
it's the
Jackie
one
Chan.
use of AI that I approve of is making Colin Firth look jacked.
Yeah.
The best use of AI is turning movie scenes into music videos so far. It's where they're singing the dialogue. Have you not seen it?
No.
There's loads of videos on YouTube.
Well,
where
my phone's
singing
next
dialogue
to me.
at each other instead.
My phone's
There's like
next
an
to me.
Anakin versus Obi-Wan, where they're singing each other in this very like Linkin Park-esque song. But it's the exact dialogue and it's the exact scene. They're just singing at each other instead. And there's the council and Lord of the Rings, and they're all singing at each other. It's just so good. It's ridiculous, but it's so good.
Well, yeah, so my phone's next to me and it's on in case Ruby texts, but I'll look forward to my algorithm later giving me a lot of like musical movie scenes. But yeah, I'll do Colin Firth in between 2 characters from the Raid, because let's face it, we're going to talk about that later. But yeah. Right. Number 3s then. Oliver, your number 3.
My number 3 comes from a 1995 Scottish classic. No, not that one. No, not that one.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a film I would argue was better that came out the same year, and just, maybe a podcast onto itself of like, box office unfortunate mishaps of like, it came out at this point and got absolutely swamped by a bigger film. Rob Roy. And the end fight in Rob Roy versus Archibald Cunningham. So you've got Liam Neeson as Rob Roy, giant man, the biggest man you ever did see, swinging a sword, equally big. And then you've got Tim Roth as the villain, Archibald Cunningham. He's got a little fencing sword. He's tiny. And it is one of the best sword fights ever put to film because they're not constantly hacking and parrying and slashing at each other. They come together and then they break apart. And you can tell they're both trying to suss each other out. And you can tell very early on that both of them know that Cunningham, Tim Roth's character, is the better fighter. And it very much becomes Cunningham playing with his food in this fight because, you know, I want you guys to go watch the film, so I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a lot of bad blood between these two characters. They despise each other. Tim Roth in this is one of the best ever villains put in film. He massively overlooked performance. I'm pretty sure he got an Academy Award nomination for this film. He's just absolutely brilliant in this film. Perfect villain. Just, you hate him, but he's competent. He gets the job done, but he is absolutely foul in everything he does. And this final fight scene, he's just completely outclassing him. And Rob Roy is surviving basically on just his big man strength, ultimately. And that is what gets him through. Perfect sword fight. Yeah. I imagine no one, like, here's my shout that I don't think anybody else will have included because I don't know if anybody's even seen Rob Roy. I only saw it because we went on trips in uni. Like 24 of us would go to this massive house in France and just take over it. And it had VHSs there in like 2011, 2012. And we saw Rob Roy and me and one of my mates put it on. And we just sat, like everyone else was like having a time on this holiday. And me and my mate just sat in silence, like absolutely transfixed on this film. And it was...
I do love that idea of because we spoke about it last time about like the films that get released and they get dwarfed by another one. So like we said Armageddon, Deep Impact. What was the Disney one that we spoke about?
God. Yeah, I can't remember.
No, but there were a few, weren't there? Because like Ants and Bugs Life, you know.
But that was that they weren't as similar to. I think that was just like too boring. That was slightly
too warring studios.
Like Armageddon and Deep Impact are the same thing. It was like, oh, they're making this film. It's going to be really big. We need our version of it now.
But like, there'll be like really objectively fantastic films that just really struggle because they came out the same week as Titanic or like Gladiator.
Dante's Peak and Volcano. And then there was, but Illusionist. So there was the Illusionist and the Prestige, but the Illusionist was Bob. So yeah, that deserved it. But yeah, there will be the films that it's like, you know, what week were you released in, or the same week as Avatar? Oh well, that went well, didn't it?
Vaguely sell this film to you though. Let me read out. So you got Liam Neeson, who I've mentioned.
Yeah.
You got Jessica Lange, John Hurt, Tim Roth, Eric Stoltz, Andrew Keir, but Brian Cox is in it. Jason Fleming's it. Like the cast is stacked.
Yeah.
It's a really stacked cast, and it's a fantastic story. Like, it's obviously nothing like the actual story of Rob Roy. It's like very loosely based on reality. John Hurt is fantastic in this. He has some of the most awful lines. Like, I don't mean awful in terms of they're badly written. It's like, what a horrible thing to say. Like they're talking about the Queen at the time. Like struggling to consider, because I think it was Queen Anne. And he says, one would have thought that a field so thoroughly and regularly ploughed would have yielded at least one good crop. In truth, I have seen graveyards more healthy than that woman's womb.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. John
Jesus
Hurt.
Christ.
But like all of his lines are just dripping with that. Because he's a duke. So he's nobility, and he just drips the arrogance that comes with that. And he's honestly, Rob Roy, find it, give it a watch. It's a great film, and the fight at the end is just stunning.
Okay. Well, my number 3 is my MCU pick.
Can I guess?
Go on.
Is it Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man?
Of course, it's Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man. Like, what else are you even picking, people? Like, come on.
Well, I picked
Because
Spidey,
I
so
know, and Michael
Shang-Chi,
picked
this is
Shang-Chi,
when
but
yeah.
like seriously, this is
there's two really good options.
no, I know, but like
It is good. It is like so. It's such a emotional
it's so
fight.
emotionally charged, and like the
Yeah.
thing is, it's one of those moments in the MCU where, like, this is why I tried to get Ruby to watch them, and we got as far as the Avengers, and then at that point, I think she was a bit like, I've seen them all team together. I'm not fussed about what happens after this, but I do want her to do them all because you genuinely go through a journey of the fact that like, and I forget this every time I go back to watch Endgame or Infinity War because at the beginning of Infinity War Iron Man's explaining to Mark Ruffalo to Hulk that it's like, oh yeah, we fell out, and he's like, what fell out? I spoke like the Beatles, and it's like no, like, and it's literally
Cap's
everything that
busy
happened.
growing a beard. Like
Yeah,
can't come right now.
best look of him.
Practice spear catching skills.
Yes. And it's like all of that came in Civil War, where it was legitimately he's the reason why my parents are dead, and you're
Mm.
now in the way, and you need to pick your side. You need to figure out. But then Cap's like, I've just got my best mate back. Like, what am I
But
supposed?
that is it. He says to me, he's my friend, and then Tony's like, so was I, and
Yeah,
that's it. We like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
you've
It's
made your
done.
decision now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's but when I was talking about the rises and about the cowl, like the bit where Cap breaks Iron Man's helmet and you
Mm.
see half of Robert Downey Jr.'s face just looking absolutely terrified. And I was like, gee, like the emotional stakes is, but I was sat in the audience and like Amy does this all the time with the Marvel films. Like when Infinity War finished, she was like, well, you know they're not dead because there's another one coming out next year. But I was like, crying me isn't listening to this right now. But when I was watching Civil War, I was like, where does this even end? How can this
Mm.
even end? Like, what is the sort of the walk away spot from this point? It's surely one of these people's just got to die at that point. And I was really emotionally invested in it. And I think for the Russo brothers, for as much as stickers they've got of like really like they surprised everybody with Winter Soldier, knocked it out of the park with Civil War. Naturally, Marvel then are like, right, we're going to trust you with Infinity War and Endgame, and then at that point, it's like, oh well, they're middling, or we're going to bring them back for Doomsday, and now Doomsday is asking a lot of the fans, I think, to sort of go, forget about all these other things that happened. Like they're re-releasing Endgame with 7 extra minutes in it, with a scene that apparently links Endgame to Doomsday, and it's like, well, at that point, are we just forgetting about all this other mid stuff that's just happened in between?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like
anyway,
I think I don't think I've seen any of Marvel's new releases since I think Shang-Chi was the last new thing I watched.
I mean, like to be fair, Thunderbolts is really good.
Oh, I
Um,
tell a lie, I've seen Thunderbolt.
yeah,
That was amazing.
yeah,
That
I
had no
would
right being as good as it was.
put that on the list with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, where I
Mm.
was like, I knew I'd like it, but bloody,
Yeah, but it was
I
so
love
much
Yeah.
better.
Thunderbolts. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting a deep dive into like mental health to
that
be as
got
effective
me.
as it was. That real
The
like
Fantastic
I've
Four
never
was
had
good
mental
too.
health issues, and that got me. Like I
Yeah, yeah.
related to that.
Fantastic Four was really good as well.
Yes.
Like
Oh
they,
no.
they were like the return to form that made me think, okay, maybe Doomsday is going to be really good actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if this is where the path we're on, then hopefully.
But then when you watch the Doomsday trailer, the most recent one, like Amy was like, "But I don't understand how all these people are doing all these things,"
There's
and I was
got to
like,
be, yeah. Everyone just seems to be like super moves all the time, but it does look a bit like I don't know. It's
Oh, the internet's crying about what's it? Doom blocking Stormbringer with like a couple of fingers
"Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
Doom.
because he's Doom. Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
Doom." I
like
liked
they
the
need to
idea.
bring Thanos in and have the scene from the comic where Doom just rips his skeleton out of his body and kills him.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
like where
just
it's
to
just
set it
over.
up at
They
the
need
beginning.
to,
That'd be
like
pretty
when they
cold.
had
Yeah.
Thanos beat Hulk to show
Yeah,
how strong they need to do that.
maybe that's your opening scene where it just goes 2014 Vormir, and just just coincidentally Doom just goes, "All right, see you later," you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a Doomsday track now. The idea that I really liked, and I was hoping that it was the way that they'd go, was that obviously Doom is a variant of Tony Stark,
Yeah.
but it's the Tony Stark who, instead of going, "What have I done with these weapons of mass destruction?" at the start of Iron Man, in fact, he goes, "Yeah, I like the money," and then
Yeah.
we just sort of go down that route. But from the sound of what I'm assuming is Robert Downey Jr.'s voice in the trailer, were definitely Latveria,
Whichever
themed.
vague corner of Europe that appears to be from.
Yes.
It could still be a variant, though. I mean, that'd be the only way you explain why you've just, beyond just stupid, like, publicity casting,
Mm.
that's the only reason you would cast him, is
My
if he's
only,
the
I mean,
variant.
my main gripe with it is the fact that they're clearly keeping the helmet on for the majority of the film, to the point
Hmm.
where at some point he's just going to lift it off, and all the actors are going to be shocked.
Oh my
But
god!
then us in the audience are like, "Yeah, we knew it was Robert Downey Jr. about 2 years ago,"
Yeah,
and
it was like them. To be
I would
fair, they have
sooner them have the
history with this,
gall
though.
just to
It's,
shock the audience for once. Can you imagine
yeah,
watching that for the
They'd
first
never be able
time?
to hide his involvement, though, would
No,
they?
I
With the
know, it's
modern
so
media and
annoying.
leaks. But
nah, they
yeah, that
could.
would have been incredible to not know and then find out in the film.
Yeah,
Like, do you not remember
Be
the whole thing with?
amazing.
I know it's smaller, but like with Bucky being the Winter Soldier, like they
Mm.
played that like, oh my god,
no, I know. It's like we knew that though.
yeah,
Like we knew.
yeah.
I'll be honest, I was because I didn't know what I hadn't really watched what, and I was watching it, and I was because I'd forgot about Captain America. Went, who's Bucky? I was like, who is Bucky?
Who's
And
that
then we're
guy?
like, oh, it's mate. I'm like, oh right. And it's like I had no emotional investment in this guy. And I was like, he just fell off a train, he was gone. Like, why do we care?
Yeah, why are we bothered about this guy?
Yeah.
Um, well,
Learn to hold on to trains.
there's your MCU tangent. Clip that. Right, Holly, your number three.
Well, this is the maybe like the one like traditional martial arts film that I've seen and remember, and like researching for this pod, sitting on YouTube for an hour looking at looking at fight scenes. Um, I found this one again and I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching this film. I wish I'd seen more of these because then I'd have had a top 10 that was just
Just
10
them.
Jet Li, Jackie Chan,
Colin
Donnie
Firth.
Yen films. But this is another Jet Li, so he's on a par with Colin Firth now. Once Upon a Time in China, the scene with the bamboo ladders.
Hmm.
So I think I love this fight scene so much because of the use of the environment. And I know Jackie Chan is like the master of this, like just using random stuff for climbing and throwing and weapons and this, that, and the other. But this one is just so iconic to me. It just stuck in my head for years and years and years after randomly seeing this film on telly. Just because of the nature of the ladders. So they've got these really thin bamboo ladders, like loads and loads and loads of them. So there's moments where they're running up the ladder and every rung is breaking. And then they've got two giant poles. So then he's like sliding down the walls of this very big square room, but holding onto these two poles that are like pole vaults. They're so big and like sliding down them, holding them into the plaster on the walls. They've got like one ladder standing straight upright with other ones like shoved into the rungs, keeping it still, but then it's wobbling because they're both climbing up it at the same time while they're fighting. The bad guy has got, well, they've both got very long, like plaits, but the bad guy's got a blade in the end of his, and you don't know about that. And he seems to be swinging his hair around quite a lot, and he swings it, and you just hear this swoosh. And Jet Li's just standing there for a while and pauses and just puts his hand to his neck and brings it away, and it's blood. And the bad guy like holds up his ponytail and it's got this big blade in it.
Nice.
And like halfway through the fight, and you're just like, oh, okay, they're not just hand to hand fighting here. There's weapons now. It's scary. That it just masters of choreography and martial arts at work in this scene.
Yeah.
And it just endlessly imaginative how they use all these ladders. There's like a flatbed trailer that's like tilting with weights on it, and so they keep getting pushed against this trailer, and the weights keep like falling down onto it, and then they use it to trapeze off, and it's just perfect use of the environment. If you haven't, like, the film is fun, but that scene is amazing, so just look it up on YouTube to see what I'm talking about. But
I will do.
yeah, it's
It
my
sounds good.
favorite. I haven't seen much,
Mm.
but it's my favorite martial arts film that I've seen. Jet Li's brilliant in it, and that scene's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen many. The one that is on my list that I still need to watch that came out this year is one called The Furious that's got quite good reviews and stuff, and apparently that's a really good action film, so I wanna check that out. But yeah, like admittedly, mine aren't full with martial art films, you know. Um, Michael, your number three.
There's nothing more to be said about my number three. It's the church fight from Kingsman.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, I think we've said everything
Colin
needs to be
Firth
said about
wins.
it. Yeah.
Colin Firth wins.
He does win. He does. He beats everyone. But it's like it's that, and then there's also the pub fight earlier on where we kind of see how good he is, where he's holding back, and then suddenly we see him not holding back, and that's kind of what I was saying before. Like we've seen he's a really skilled fighter, and now we've seen if you take his like inhibitions away and make him really angry, he's a really scary fighter. Like to be locked in a room with someone who can do that would be terrifying, more so than like any horror movie villain that's like ever existed. Like, can you imagine someone who can do that hunting you down? Like, there's no horror movie ever been made with a villain that terrifying, but it's in a kind of comedy spy, family friendly, not family friendly, but like, it's kind of family friendly.
Remember the princess towards
Yeah.
the end, Michael. Like that ain't family friendly.
Depends
Ain't
on the
family
family.
friendly.
But yeah,
I'll be
it's
right back.
they get married in the end. It's fine. It's okay. But it's so good. And I think we've said if it needs to be said about it, so I won't go on. But that's my number three.
Nice. I mean, I'm very concerned about the fact that we're now into top two, and Ollie still said that he's got multiple Star Wars picks. So here we go. Well, my number two is the Mad Dog versus the Brothers fight from the first Raid film. Because it's just superb. And like I really latched on to the idea of Gareth Evans when he made it. He doesn't storyboard anything. He films it on like a sort of lower quality camera, going through essentially like a rehearsal of it, and then they just do it again, but just on a higher quality camera and once they've worked everything out. And the form of martial arts is pentaxilat, which is a version of obviously like it is a martial art. And I think a lot of people get the Raid confused as being some sort of Japanese film, but it's from Indonesia. So there's a lot of like things in it that is the first time that we've seen that style of fighting before. And they should tell you everything about the character of Mad Dog. They kill him in this scene, but they bring the actor back for the second one because it was like, oh, we kind of need that guy,
Yeah.
and it's a bit of a shame that we killed him in the in the first film. So he doesn't come back as Mad Dog. He comes back as a
Somehow
different.
Mad Dog returned.
Yes, yeah. It's like you can't put a Mad Dog down. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's so visceral. I went to the cinema to go and see this, and again, me and my mate were like, "I've heard this is good. Let's go and watch it." And I was like, "Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before." And I just like the first Raid. Like I love them both, and I think the premise of the first one, literally being we're just going to go up this apartment building and we're just going to go floor by floor. We got something very similar with Dread as well, but I think they both work really, really well.
It was a coincidence as well. Like we
Yeah, it
saw
was
it
purely,
production.
yeah.
Like
I
I haven't
remember
actually
the
seen Raid, but I've seen that the Dread film is one of my favorite
yeah,
kind of
but like
Well,
they came out afterwards and sort of said like it is purely coincidental just because of the times of production would have been Raid would have been in post production as Dread was going into production, so it's not like we saw it and went, that's a really good idea, let's copy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this fight in particular is absolutely stunning. It is visceral. There are bones breaking, like the hits that they land. But then again, going back to what I said about the Matrix before, like the Matrix being oh, you can block a punch, and
yeah.
actually, this doing that to an extent is again absolutely insane. And I love the Raid. I've got the steel books on the shelf behind me. But yeah, absolutely stunning. Love it. So that's my number two. Um,
Fair.
Holly, what's your number two?
Uh, it's a pretty standard pick. I apologize. But it's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Jen versus Shulian. So again, we talked about trapezes, and I don't like and wires, and I don't like it too much. I like the story of the film, but the fight scenes, I don't love the fight scenes because of that. But this one is the best one. It's
Hmm.
so seamless. There isn't an over reliance on them flying around. The character flies in and then flies out, but during the fight, you can't see that they're on a wire that's like tugging them away. And I just love how Michelle Yeoh's character has to go through all of these weapons over and over and over again, choosing a new weapon because the fighter she's against is an inferior fighter but with a superior weapon. And I really like that idea that there are a few times where Michelle Yeoh's character has the upper hand in the fight. Just right at the beginning she definitely has the upper hand, but as the fight goes on, the antagonist character gets more and more cocky and more confident in the fact that the sword that she's wielding is so good that even a much better fighter can't win against her, up to and including like the god of fighting arriving at the end and her saying, "Oh, I can't bring it. Like you can't beat me with this sword." And we're like, "Yeah, you can. You definitely can." Yeah, it's the constant bringing out of a new weapon, a new weapon. Oh, this sword has smashed it. Right, I need a new weapon. Oh, that sword's got that one as well. Until right at the end, when she picks the right weapon, which the sword can break, but it breaks into a sharp point, and she gets it to the antagonist's throat, and then the antagonist kind of has to cheat to get out of that situation. It's just beautifully choreographed. You believe that those women are in a equal match because of their skill versus the magic quality of this sword. And I just love that moment in the film because I love Michelle Yeoh's character. I love her, and I really hate it's Aziz Zhang, I think the actress. I hate her character at that point, but she's young and she's it like cocky for a reason. And there's just a teeny tiny little bit of you that would quite like her to win as well. Yeah, it's a brilliant fight scene, and I know it's the one that like brought a lot of people in like Western cinema to, oh, this is a style of fight we could include in our movies. So
Thanks, Wachowskis.
Yeah, but
I
it
need to go
was.
back and watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think I've seen it once, and I think I was like way too young to really
Yeah, I'm the
absorb what was
same.
like
going
Yeah,
on.
I was
same. I
kind
was, yeah.
I had a like a short period where I was obsessed with those films. So I had Hero, I had Crouching Tiger, I had House of Flying Daggers,
Hmm.
like all on DVD, and I was watching them and going back and watching them. I don't think they're as good
Okay.
as I thought they were at the time. Like Crouching Tiger especially is a little bit like snooty. It's a little bit um like aloof, I guess. Like
Mm.
I don't feel as much emotion for the storyline and the characters, but that might be a little bit about the like the context and the background. I don't super get all the spirituality behind martial arts,
Mm.
and there's a lot of that in that film. Um,
That's the
but
beauty of
that
Kung Fu
fight scene
Panda. It
is
really dumbs it down for us idiot Westerners, and we understand. Like Kung Fu Panda should not work. Put it in that list, Adam. Films that should
Yeah.
not work, and they
Okay.
bloody do.
the second one.
The
The
second
Second
one.
second
one
one
especially, but
especially.
even the first one. The first one's great. I thought the first one would be stupid. It's like, no, this is great. Second one of my favorite films ever. Like,
Because Crouching Tiger was like when we first got a DVD player and DVD started coming into the house, we had this like weird catalog that had come every now and again, and it was one of the ones where it was like, oh, why don't you try this one? And then my stepdad would just go, all right, okay, we'll buy that one then. And then they just eventually just started coming in. It was around that time where it was like we're just gonna all of a sudden become cinephiles, which only really latched onto me, you know. But it is what it is. Right, Michael, you're number two.
It's another one that's been mentioned. This was a real contender for number one because of how much I love it and how often, like, if this comes up in like if I'm scrolling through Instagram or YouTube or anything, and it comes up, I always rewatch it. And it's Dread Pirate Roberts versus Inigo Montoya. I just like obviously Wesley as we know him and how like confident he is that he's going to win this fight, but at the same time he's like, you seem a decent fellow, I hate to kill you. It's like, oh, you seem a decent fellow, I hate to die. And he's like,
Oh,
I don't know.
I love that
The
line.
dialogue is amazing, and I just love that it's like, the way in a lot of like superhero fights, they're like giving each other a bit of stick, whereas these guys are just complimenting each other
Yeah.
while technically having a duel to the death.
Yeah.
But
Actually
they're
talking about form and using, like,
Yeah.
some of them are incorrect, but they are using terminology from actual treatises on fencing. It's incredible.
And like they both grow to respect it in this very short fight. They both see each other's skill and grow to respect each other. And obviously that's why later in the film, they team up. Spoiler.
I'd sooner destroy a plate glass window than an artist such as yourself. Just
Yeah. So I mean, just everything about the scene from start to finish. Even when he's climbing up the mountain and he's like, "You could help me out," and he's like, "I promise I won't kill you till you get to the top," and then he lets him rest.
Yeah.
So he's like at full strength because they're both such confident fighters. At the start of that fight, neither of them believes there's any chance that they'll lose.
But there's also honor behind it as well. I don't
Yeah.
think Inigo wants to lose.
No, exactly. Because he's so
I don't think he
confident
wants to
in
beat
his
an
skill, he
opponent
wants
who's
to win
not his
honorably.
best.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's
But
the
that's the-
comedic bit of Roberts taking his shoe off and like boulders coming out of his shoe from climbing up that mountain.
It's such a wonderful film all the way through. But that particular scene, I think, is before I saw the film, I'd seen that scene.
Yeah.
Because I only saw the whole film relatively recently, like within the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Like that's how recent, but I've seen that scene so many times. And I didn't even know what film it was from for a long time. And I'd heard of The Princess Bride and I knew of it. And then I found out and I was like, oh, I need to watch this whole film now. And it really is just like a fantastic film. But that particular scene is like the high point of the entire movie. But how you've already talked about the fight at the end and the emotional payoff, and him like screaming, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, and the kind of like almost ridiculousness of him doing that.
Yeah.
But also it's just so much emotion. And then it's a very different gentlemanly duel.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what it is. This is more of a duel than a fight, but a duel's a type of fight.
A duel is a type of fight. You're fine with a duel. Right, Oliver, you're number 2.
Adam, you can breathe a sigh of relief.
Okay.
Because my number 2 is Rama versus the Assassin from the Raid 2.
Okay.
Like,
Kitchen.
The Raid and the Raid 2 are both filled with some of the best fights I have quite literally ever seen. And it just reminded me as well, like, martial arts films in the West kind of went through different phases. Like there was the whole karate gimmick with Jackie, there was Kung Fu with Bruce Lee, and Jackie Chan and Jet Li brought their more frenetic style to it. Tony Jaa was massive for a few years, and like Muay Thai became like really popular for a few years. But I feel like Pencak Silat has really just stuck. Like that style of fighting has influenced a lot of modern fight scenes because it is just quite practical in how they fight. And that, for me, is the best showcase of just Rama versus the assassin in that kitchen fight. It goes on for 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute fight scene, and you are not ever bored. You're not ever thinking that it's overstaying its welcome. And this is a fight scene that is immediately followed on with big melee brawls of he's punched his way through about 15 guys. Then he's had the fight with baseball bat guy and hammer girl. Like, you should be so done with people getting punched and kicked and kneed and elbowed in the face, and you're just not.
Yeah.
This fight is just, it's perfect. Like the pacing, the cinematography, the fact that the villain realizes he's a bit outclassed, so he needs to level up, and he gets his 2 karambit knives, and the world is exposed to karambit knives probably for the first time, and karambit knives are really cool. Like, even Splinter Cell decided to adopt the karambit knife.
Yes, it did.
From
yes,
that
it
point
did.
in Blacklist, because
And
it's
we
like,
love
oh
it.
yeah, karambit, really cool. It's perfect. I could try and talk about individual moments of it, but the pacing is perfect. The initial bit where they're kind of like sussing each other out with a few thrown punches, and then it just goes and they don't stop. And they both get hit in the head way too many times. And Rama, like, even when he wins the fight at the end, he's like, I want to die. Like, I'm still not done. I'm so tired. Please, someone just put me out of my misery here. Like, I'm absolutely exhausted. And like the next scene, he gets winged by a guy with a shotgun. The poor guy. It's like, get into a hospital. But yeah, it's. I hear you with Mad Dog. I do, because I do like the dynamic that it's like, two people who don't quite see eye to eye going against this one bigger threat. And I like that Mad Dog isn't just dominating them. He is getting hit a lot and he's hurting, but he's just mad. So he's going through it. But this fight, it's just stunning. I can't think of anything wrong with it.
Well, I'm just gonna book a trend because
Is that your number one?
that's my number one.
Yeah. Like,
and Holly's number one.
yeah.
There we go. Because it's just superb, innit? I'm gonna
It's
go and watch the
perfect,
Raid
isn't
2
it?
again.
Like,
I'm gonna go and watch it again. I'm gonna go and watch them both again. And Michael, you just need to watch them.
I know, I do.
Michael,
Yeah,
oh
so
my God.
That's the big thing I'm sat here thinking, that clearly I just need to watch the Raid and the Raid 2.
Because
Yeah.
the Raid, I
Good.
prefer the Raid too. I don't know where you two sit with it. I prefer, because it feels a bit like it leans more on that undercover cop story, and it's asking a lot more of our martial arts actors than I think any other film has.
It's much more of a sprawling epic, definitely.
And I do see the appeal, because I love the concept of we're stuck in an apartment building, this is what we're doing. But like, in terms of the acting, the trying to pronounce his name right now, Iko Uwais.
Yes.
Like, in terms, like, the acting he's asked to do, it's like, it's quite standard, and he does a good job of it, but it is quite standard. He's really pushed. Like, he is given a meaty character in this film, and he absolutely blows it out of the water. For me, it's the best acting I've seen in what is predominantly like a martial arts film.
Yeah.
I find it hard to compare the two.
I do, yeah.
They're both action films, but they're completely different
They are
types
very
of
different
action films.
films.
It just
and
really
makes perfect sense, the progression from this one single like mission that they need to get to the top of a tower block, and it's just one thing that we're watching, to a prolonged undercover, like full kind of gang situation where he's got to get to the boss, and it's over like time.
I think it just reminded me of like
both.
I think the second one just really reminded me of a very, very underrated game, Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah.
Like, it really reminded me of that, and I love Wei Shen in Sleeping Dogs. I think he's one of the, like, a very, very underrated video game character. But yeah, just again, like, I'm not saying Jackie Chan can't act this well, because I think he could. I just don't think there's not a film I can think of where he's been asked to give a performance this meaty.
I feel like
he kind of had a character that he played, and they just put that character in movies, didn't they?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like Dwayne Johnson has a very similar kind of career,
and that is the case with most of the martial arts actors, because the emphasis is put on, we want you to jump and kick and punch and knee and elbow. That's what we're coming to these films to watch. And the Raid was like, well, no, you're going to have your cake and eat it. We are going to give you those fight scenes that are stunning, but we are going to give you like this deep character look as well. But that being the case, like Holly said, it's you pick what you want. Like, Georgia would prefer the first one because it's all set in a single location, almost in real time. And Georgia is an absolute sucker for films like that. And it's obviously a brilliant film. But yeah, like,
the fight, the thing that makes that fight for me, why it's my number one, is just the editing. The editing is superb. It's like, it's frenetic, it's chaotic, but you never ever not once lose who's doing what and where. It's not quick editing where it's this, that, blah, 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 blah. It stays for a long time on them at moments, and then goes quick, and then stays on someone for a long time. It's not going for like a one shot. It it's perfect. I can't explain it more than that. It
Yeah.
is exactly what we need to see at any one time. It's super clear who is doing what. Yeah, it's exactly how I want every action scene to be filmed.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
the fact that they manage to make it feel bigger by moving around in the environment so that
Mm.
you are just in one location at that point in the kitchen, but it's like that glass like wine cellar. We're gonna come to
You
that
knew
later.
someone was getting
You
shot
know,
through
Yeah.
that at
yeah.
some point,
It's
didn't
like we're
you?
gonna
It's
come to
great.
that bit later. Well, don't forget about this thing because we'll come to that later as
And
well.
don't
It,
forget this kitchen counter that we're going to slam each other's heads against
Yeah.
at least 10 times.
Yeah.
it's such a perfect, dangerous
Yeah.
environment where
Yeah.
everything could be utilized.
Yeah. They're so good, and if I'm honest, I do feel like they're a little bit underrated in that there was a lot of talk about them at the time, and then I think with the second one, naturally they got the bigger budget because of what the first one did, and it is more of like a sprawling crime thriller epic type thing. But the fact that it didn't even get recognized like later in the year when award season came
Which
around,
is
like
mad because it was massively, it was a critical, it blew everything
yeah,
out of the water. Like everyone was like,
Yeah.
this is incredible.
because
I
this
saw the second one first because
I
this
there'd
is
didn't
been
watch
it,
so
the
much
yeah.
second
good
one. I'm
stuff, and
glad
then
I
I went
did.
back and watched the first one.
So I was working at the cinema when the second one came out, and I remember it was quite a sort of surreal thing when a foreign film was in the cinema and was using up the screens as much as that one was, because typically we'd get them in and you'd have maybe one showing on a Tuesday in the middle of the day where it was like that was the token world cinema film that week. Right, Raid 2 was on all week. And a number of times we had to put it in two screens because the screens were that busy because it again just sort of hit something with people. But yeah, stunning, stunning. Um, which one do we get out of the way first? Do we do Ollie's Star Wars pick or do we do the Michael Mystery pick? um, Ollie, tell us your Star Wars pick.
Which one do you think it is?
I'm going to assume that it's the Return of the Jedi one.
It's not.
Oh,
As much
okay.
Empire.
Empire.
Oh, okay.
It's. I mean, I will. I won't spend too long. Don't worry, because I've talked about it ad nauseum in plenty of other podcasts. But I mean, I've set the trend already. I love a villain who plays with his food in a fight, and I think as much as I love Cunningham doing that in Rob Roy, having a character as iconic as Darth Vader doing it in that setting. Like Holly talked about the Return of the Jedi, like the set dressing and the look of it, and I do agree it's stunning. But just the three areas that Bespin fight happens, it's just burnt into my brain. It's stunning. The fact that Luke comes out with his lightsaber first because he's bricking it. The fact that Vader starts off one-handed because he's just like, fine, whatever. Oh, you're doing a bit better now. All right, guess I'm using two hands. Okay. Okay. We're still going all right. Here's the Force. I'm just going to hurl random bits of machinery at you. And that final section where Vader's just like, right, I'm a bit bored now, so I'm just going to come at you, and you are going to be beat down. And the way that Luke kind of does that to him later. And then the second Luke gets a hit in on his armor, Vader's like, okay, I've been playing with my food a bit too much here. Bang, hand off you go. Just perfect. The fact that like there's almost no music throughout most of the other than Vader's theme playing throughout the force throwing bit, like just it's perfect. It's everything I want a lightsaber fight to be. And like I recognize there's better choreography in like your pick ads. And in Michael's pick with like the Dooku fight, there's definitely better choreography than that. But this is still good choreography. The only bad stuff is Vader finding it hard to move. Like
Yeah.
I'd love
That's
a
part of the
version.
due to change in the modern films of what they were using. That they decided they weren't big, heavy broadswords, whereas in the old movies, they were seeing them as like big, heavy broadswords.
But even in they've somewhat gone back to that in like Disney era Star Wars, and I still think they've just modernized Vader's armor a little bit as well. Like I genuinely nearly considered having the Obi-Wan Vader fight from Obi-Wan on this list
Mm.
because that hits everything I want a Star Wars fight to do. It's
Yeah.
the fighting styles of the two characters are very indicative of their personality. Like throughout that whole thing, Vader's very aggressive and he's not completely on top. He is somewhat matched. Obi-Wan is playing it very defensive. He's all about a parry and manipulating his opponent to where he wants to get him. And it was a great coup de grace at the end of like breaking his, doing a bane on him, hitting his weak spot, and then that slice across his mat. But it's like people who love the Beatles, I guess. People might have come along and done stuff slightly objectively better later, but you've got to owe thanks. Because this is the one, like the for me, I don't think they were really thinking too much when it came to the episode 4 fight. I think that was just like a cool little vignette, whatever. Whereas episode like Empire is like, we are really going to hone in on this. We could have something with like these lightsaber fights, and it could really mean something.
I suppose episode 4 was the Star War, weren't it? It was like, we're going to focus on that aspect of it. And then when we get to the second one, maybe we'll branch out and do some different things.
And there's a company that have done like a re-edit, like a slightly more modern take of that Obi-Wan Vader fight on the Death Star. And it's a bit more friendly. Like, it wouldn't have made sense in the film. It's very modern filmmaking techniques, but it does look great. And it gets the same idea across of Vader's angry and he's just a force of nature. Like, he actually punches Obi-Wan in the face at one point. It's quite funny. But he is just this force of nature. And it's like the best bit of that fight is Obi-Wan realizing he's outmatched, which you don't really get a sense of in the film, I don't think.
No.
Whereas you can feel the dynamic with this one. You can feel Vader is playing with his food. Luke is terrified. Luke is outmatched. He might be able to do the odd good thing of like, kicking Vader off the edge and like using the pipe against him, but he is not ready for this fight.
Other than Obi-Wan, everyone's had that experience against Vader up until this point, haven't they? Like, I know it's filmed later, but it is set before like Rogue One corridor scene.
Yeah.
Vader is very much like he's holding the door closed with the Force the entire time. Because he wants them trapped there so that he can just slowly walk up and leisurely wipe out these soldiers. Like, because he's nobody, like, Star Wars Fallen Order, he can't hurt him in any way. He has a patience meter. And when he runs out of patience, the fight's now over because he's decided he's going to kill him and run away. He's... And
even in, in Jedi Survivor, where you can beat him in that, like, that is the fight in that game I need to do at least 15 times. I cannot. Even the Bode fight at the end, which I really struggled with the first time. Second time I went into it, I did it my first time. The Rancor I can do like within a couple of goes, but the Vader fight in that game, even though you can damage him in that one, he just wrecks me so many times because that's one thing I think modern Star Wars has got right. Like, there's a lot of complaints about how Disney have treated Star Wars, and I hear a lot of them. But one thing I do think they've got 100% right is Vader. Like you said, with Rogue One, that hallway sequence was worth the price of admission for Rogue One alone. How he is in Obi-Wan is brilliant. But again, it all stems from here, of him just being this immovable object, and he's so calm. And it does make for a really interesting dynamic when that just completely flips in the next film.
I do like how he's never calm against Obi-Wan as well. Even before we've had all the backstory established, he's always really angry. And then obviously once we get all the backstory, which I know was written later, but we can pretend it wasn't.
You see
it's
why.
Like, this makes sense. This is why his mood is different in fights against Obi-Wan, because he needs to overcome his former master.
Yeah.
It's like...
And even when he does, he's just really bitter about it because he realizes Obi-Wan just kind of pieced out.
Yeah, he didn't beat him at his prime, which is what he needed to do.
And he didn't even really beat him. Like, Obi-Wan gave up, and then that eats at him. Yeah, I love
that. Right, Michael, your mystery pick.
Yeah, my mystery pick. So this was on my list all along, but I have to rewatching a few of them last night. This went to number 1. It's the bus fight in Nobody. Because it's just so good, especially because he's so he loses a bit at first. He's like really getting his ass because he's forgot how to fight, Like he clearly is a very competent fighter, but he's not done it for a while and he's out of practice. He needs to remember again. But I think also as that scene starts, you see the kind of man he is because he's like, he is saying in his head, this girl's going to get home safe tonight. But the minute they start kicking off, he starts smiling because he has an excuse to be that guy, to like bring out this violent side of himself and take it out on these like deserving people. And it ends with like he's gone a little bit too far with that guy, so he has to do that like impromptu surgery with the straw so that he can breathe because he's hit him too hard in the throat. Because he literally rips a pole off the bus and hits him in the throat with it. Just the unloading of the gun at the beginning, and the like, I could have ended this in seconds, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take my time. Getting thrown out of the bus, getting on, and using the like seat belts to like protect his hands. It's just like so, and you just don't expect it, like from the actor. You've just not seen. I don't know if he has done other films like, but I've never seen him in that kind of role. So I didn't see him as kind of like someone who could pull off an action sequence. And in that scene, he just transforms. He becomes a completely different person. And all of a sudden, he's really quite competent. And then from the rest of the movie, he's a completely believable action hero because it happened, even though in his story, he's always been that way because he's, special forces, done whatever he's done. We don't really know, but we know he's some kind of special forces operative. In that scene, he like re-becomes that person and we see it happen in real time. And it's obviously it's not a realistic fight. He takes way too much damage to be able to get up again. But it's just really, really fun to watch. And I really like the fact that he doesn't just immediately take them all out. He has to like fully bring that side of himself out again. He can't just switch it back on. It had to happen. He had to like nearly lose to almost like, the adrenaline maybe, or, to really bring that violent side of himself fully to the surface.
I've still not watched Nobody.
I've not watched Nobody.
It's so good, It is really. I've not. I think there's a second one which I haven't
seen. They did the
seen.
second one last year.
Yeah, there was a second one. Yeah.
But I might never watch the second one. I don't know. It stands on its own perfectly well.
But I remember like people raving about it, especially that bus scene that you're talking about. Yeah.
Is Michael Ironside in Nobody?
I don't know. It's Bob Odenkirk is the main guy, and
I've seen a scene somewhere where Bob Odenkirk is having a chat with this guy, and Michael Ironside is also there. I don't know. Like I think it's Michael Ironside's son, and this guy goes to punch Bob Odenkirk, and he gut shots him once, and he's just out because he's offered.
Oh, it's the guy he's buying the factory off. So
he's offered him like literal gold bars for this space. And Michael Ironside's like, yeah, sure.
Because he's buying a venue for his final confrontation, which is like literally what he's doing. Literally buying a venue to have his final confrontation in. It's such a ridiculous fight. His dad in it, I can't remember who his dad's played by, but his dad's like his old retiree.
No, it's Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. And he's just so ridiculous. And also, you see, it's very clearly like an inherited thing because he also very much loves violence and
I've seen that. Like I've read somewhere as well because there's a scene where he has like a shotgun.
Yeah.
And they wanted to give him like an airsoft one because Christopher Lloyd is in his mid to late 80s, and they wanted him to be. And Christopher Lloyd was like, "Well, but I know what the weight of it is. I want, So they had to give him a real shotgun that was about 12 pounds, and he had to shoot it with like blank fire. And just what a guy!
Well, there we go.
Was that 3 hours?
Probably, yeah.
Well, Sam
I don't know. Do we stick to the long form content, or do I try and like chop it in half? Either way.
No, I think a lot of people prefer the longer podcast.
Do they?
Long form.
I think so.
I'll stick it up as is then. Right. Thank you much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Stay safe.
And thank you, Colin Firth, for giving us some of the best fight scenes of our lives.
As you'll know from the thumbnail at this point.
Is there
yeah,
anything you can't do?
But pick a picture of Colin Firth from a film we haven't discussed that has no fight scenes
Pride
in
and Prejudice.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just stick him in the middle. We're doing next week is top 10. No, it's not. It's top 5 sequels we want to see. That's me, Ollie, and Michael. And then the last one that we're doing in the summer is random top threes, which was Holly's idea. So all point to Holly. But
I
I
like
mean,
I
I've
like my
got
top
2
three.
that I'm looking forward to talking about. So yeah, yeah, we'll see. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Stay safe, and we will see you next time.
We love you, Colin.